we are live. I think we are live. Wonderful. So today I am going to be casting the Unit Bands Tournament. A tournament with the special rules, as you can see below, where you get to ban 2 units of your opponent's faction after selecting them. So other than that, it's still very similar to how other tournaments play out. And as you know the drill, since there's usually a little bit of downtime before the tournament starts, feel free to skip ahead to the timestamps down below to actually watch the games immediately if you are on the VOD. So I think that's basically it. Everything's out of the way. So now we just have to wait a quick second and then I can begin the tournament. But real quick, be back in just a second. All right, there we go, and I am back. Wonderful. All right, so we got we have the tournament today. I see people are coming in to chat. Wonderful, and I think I can start the tournament up right about now. Let's go ahead and refresh the challenge page. There we go, process the check-in results, and start the tournament. All right. Bracket is live. That's Swarve, we're up. And I'll go ahead and show off the actual bracket right now. So, I've done a little bit of theory crafting for this tournament. And my idea is to actually play some Bretonia today. The reason, we take a look at their actual roster. I should be able to do quite well, even if 2 of my units are banned. Heroes and lores are also bannable, by the way, which makes this tournament pretty hilarious. But look at this, Bretonia. If they ban my peasants, I have tons of other cheap infantry I can take. If they ban my archers, I always have a 3rd option that I can run. And there's no way they can ban all of my cavalry in any way. Basically, you know, if they ban Knights of the Realm, I'll take Knights Errant, or vice versa. Same with Questing Knights. Grail Knights and Grail Guardians are really good variants. So, I think it's a pretty good pick. Rusty, hello! Welcome, happy to have you here. As soon as we're able to find Swarve will be joining a game. I see you're up against Energized. I wish I could cast it, but I got a match to play. You will be facing Human Boy, though, if you win. So that should be rather exciting indeed. Let's go ahead and set up a lobby while we wait. Let's see, lobby is up. And by the way, the tournament has begun, as you can see here. So if you are playing today, make sure to contact your opponent. And then that should be good. All right. Gwilium. Hello. Nice to have you in chat. Hope you are enjoying yourself. I'm pretty excited about this tournament format. I feel like there's actually a lot going on in it, especially on the strategy side of things, and your general game knowledge too on knowing which units to ban really changes things a lot. I think overall, in terms of the meta, the fact that you can just ban different tournaments is crazy, or different units is absolutely crazy. But yeah, this was sponsored, by the way, by our wonderful patron, Red Wedding Planner, where they actually, they suggested the idea for this extra bonus tournament. I'm actually super excited to see how that goes. It was destroyed? Oh no. Oh dear. All right. See, look, I'm terrible at names. I can admit that freely. When I was a kid, I always saw teachers and so on messing up names. I always thought they were. I always thought it was a little bit silly, but now that I have to pronounce names myself, the world has truly crumbled before me. As I am absolutely terrible at it. Called Enticity, by the way. Pass 1, 2, 3. But yeah. I do find a mild joy, though, in butchering the names of others. Must ban Skaven unit. Natty Boobos. Ooh, that'd be an interesting choice. Oh, I should add that RORs count as the unit here. Let's see, must be ranked, streaming to YouTube. Special rules. Yeah, here we go. RORs count as the band as their counterparts or bands. All right, there we go. By the way, RORs get banned if their base unit gets banned. All right, just a little bit of rules clarification there to make sure everything runs nice and smoothly. We are up against Swarv today, so that should be good. Indeed, lords do count towards banning. So, you know, if you don't want to see the Fey Enchantress, the option is yours to just flat out remove them from the entire match. So, it's going to be quite exciting. We got Swarv in the lobby. Pretty good. And we can begin. So, I believe I am top of the bracket. Let's go Bretonia. Banning. And what do we even ban as Bretonia? What are their bad matchups? I guess Lizardmen and Dwarves. Dwarves for sure. I'm definitely gonna ban Dwarves. And then I'll probably ban the Lizardmen too. Let's see. Is there a better faction I can hit? Let's see over here. Not really. Yeah, let's ban Dwarves. Lizardmen. There we go. Let's see how this Bretonia first pick works. So, the way it works, after we both picked our factions, then we alternate with me banning first and then my opponent. All right, cool. Alternating one at a time. There we go. Let's go ahead and update the rules again to make sure that there's no confusion. And let's see what he decides to go for. This is already a pretty strong pick as it stands for tournaments. So that's quite nice for me, but what about the rest? We have... Let's see, Rampart Coast can be a bit of a scary matchup, but even if he bans archers, I can still take 5. So that's gonna be good for me. He goes to Beastmen. Okay, so I ban 1 unit first. Okay, guys, now we're up against Beastmen. And I must decide which unit to ban. Eagerly awaiting to see what happens when someone bans dogs or sirens against my coast. Oh boy, that'd be bad. Yo, Beastmen, you can ban all of their range units. I can ban Ungor Raiders and Centaur Throwing Axes, and I have full air control. That's absolutely hilarious. It says don't ban Cygor. Let's see. Yeah, ban the Ungor Raiders, ban the Throwing Axes. Holy. Oh my gosh, that's insane. Okay, ban Ungor Raiders. Okay. Here we go. The master plan begins. We're gonna go the air dominance build. Now, if he catches on, Swarv could ban my flying units as a counter. And that would actually be pretty crazy. Harpies exist, yes, but Bretonian air squads are pretty intense for sure. In fact, I feel like I should have banned Centaur Throwing Axes first, but this is still okay. Yeah, if he bans Pegasus Knights, maybe we'll have to switch it up. Let's see. But if he bans both of my flying units, like, I can go pretty standard Bretonia, I think. Let's see. Alternatively, I could have banned his Centaur Great Weapons and then gone, like, Mass Cavalry. But I feel like he just opted into a lot of monsters. We'll see. You immediately assumed Vampire Coast. Yeah, I'm going with Bretonia. I feel like they have such good repetition in their roster that they're really great. Like Vampire Coast, you ban both zombies, and the game is over. You don't have a front line. It's insane. He banned Foot Squires. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. Ban Centaurs. Centaurs. Throwing axes. Oh right. Now he knows. He knows the grand strategy. Ban all archers and go full Euromen? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Look at that. We already got the frowny face from him. Yes. Yes, this is it. I'm so ready. All right. So we've taken out his range units very swiftly. And now I can go ahead and start throwing my army together. Look at this. Look at this madness. This is actually legal, I think. Let me double check. Is this actually legal? Let's see. The fruit rules. Glorious, glorious fruit rules. Bretonia. Yep, it is. It is actually legal. Would you look at that? Devastating Air Force right here. Yep. Okay, so we got the Air Force that is absolutely unkillable. Then we go for the mounted yeoman archers like this, and we're set. We're set for life. Oh man, I love the strategy in this tournament format. It's pretty amazing, I gotta say. Red Wedding Planner going ham. He banned the Hippogriffs. Oh, he did it. He hit the Hippogriff Knights. It's fine. We can still go. We can go Royal Pegasus Knights. Like, there's a lot of redundancy, like I said earlier. But these guys have, man, they're expensive. They're real expensive. They don't have a lot of HP either. So, you know, if you hit some with the Traderkin or something, probably gonna be in for a rough time, but I'm sure it'll be fine. King Lewin. Oh, yes, for sure. For sure, King Lewin. Yeah, we got the ultimate air squad going. Let's see. And there's no range unit, so Lewin can... I don't need the Lion's Shield, because he doesn't have ranged. What an amazing play, indeed. Okay. What's this? Huge debuffs. Great. Good stuff. Oh, I can't take the feint changes. But anyways, Lewin, right? We take Lewin. We take this ability away. We go this. We go for a Damsel of Life. Put her on a warhorse. And take a look at this madness. I can go ahead and take the Dwellers Below. And that means Lewin does not have to worry in the slightest about any blobs that try to form up around him. So he'll be able to just fight like a madman with no issues at all. I've spent all of my money. Maybe I'll cut one of those guys. And then, let's see. So he's banned Foot Squires and my Hippogriff Knights, but I can still go the usual peasant mob strats. I feel like spamming out some Knights of the Realm is pretty good. Taking a few peasants here and there. I have a little bit of extra money now. Let's see. He's gonna have a lot of forces for sure. But I got my cavalry. Salutations, O Ent of the Ladder. That is a new one for sure. Maybe adjusting a bit to ban one unit. One of each unit type. Oh, I sort of like it right now, but we'll see how it actually plays out. If it gets too crazy, then maybe it will be adjusted, but I'm pretty happy with the madness that we're getting right now. All right, so here we go. We got an army. We got the I know beastmen aren't bringing archers army. Should be pretty good. Skip one knight and go for a paladin. Ooh, that's pretty cool. It's too late though. It's too late. We already loaded in. And this is a best of 3. So we don't have to worry too much about losing this first match. And I will be try-harding just a tiny bit. Not super hard. I don't need to screen block all of my things for sure. But for sure we will be going at it, trying to win the first place prize again. If I do win the first place prize, then the next event that I host on the ladder is gonna have a little bit of gonna have some bigger prize pools. So all in all, the overall money coming out of the ladder should be pretty constant. Otherwise I'd just be constantly winning my own events, and that wouldn't be fun exactly. But yeah, I do have some ideas for some upcoming events. I started a schedule, actually, for the... because, okay, obviously I host a lot of events, right? So I really wanted to come up with a way to make sure that there wasn't a lot of overlap with other people's events. So I have an Excel spreadsheet that just lists everything that's happening. Oh yeah, I can play really aggressively, actually. But yeah, I have I made an Excel spreadsheet that tracks when everyone is hosting tournaments so that there can be no overlap. And so far, it's working out really well. Except for the small problem that I really need other tournament organizers to use it. Otherwise, there's still going to be a lot of overlap. But the build-up is slow but sure. I think over enough time, we should actually see a pretty nice spread of tournaments. Because like when the DLC dropped, oh my goodness, there were a million tournaments at the same time, overlapping all on the same day. And I feel like that's just a huge pain for the community. Oh yes, Human Boy's been using it too, by the way, guys. So we do have at least a few people. I contacted Rubber Duck of War. Tactical Lich, I think, is also going to be part of it. So all pretty good. Try-harding it, putting all my funds into Pegasus Knights. Yeah, don't judge. Don't judge. Come on. All right, but here we go. We have the Beastmen army, and they have no range units. They went all Bestigor herds, and I can actually kite them out into oblivion. Absolutely amazing. We got Mogre, the Shadow Gave, but what can he do? Nothing. He can't do anything because he's sort of just stuck here. Now, I do have the Damsel. Just gonna be poking away. Let's go ahead and get another volley off on these guys. I believe there is a Trader Kinner somewhere in here, and there he goes. He does drop that spicy Traderkin, but he did not hit my Pegasus Knights, and that's going to be a little bit of a boon for me for sure. And we're just gonna do a little bit of baiting, you know, get Lewin in there, right? Just be like, oh no, Lewin, he's completely surrounded. What will I possibly do? Oh wait, I'm gonna hit you with the Dwellers Below. And there we go. Oh my gosh, those poor Bestigor is getting absolutely annihilated. And now we can send in the Pegasus Knights. The Traderkin has been cast. And then we're going to get all of our troops actually caught up here in this fight. Now that's a tiny bit of a misplay, but otherwise, I think the Pegasus Knight charge here is actually going to be pretty devastating on the forces of the Beastmen. Let's go ahead and heal them up, get Lewin out of there, and then charge him into the backs of some of those Beastmen units. Go ahead and get some more of my knights in here too. Is that a Traderkin? Sure hope that's not a Traderkin. Oh, it was a Traderkin. How brutal. How brutal. The AoEs actually hitting me pretty hard there. But let's see, I don't have another heal. A lot of my Pegasus Knights are getting rather beat up. So they're not having the best time in the world, but I have routed off a ton of the Bestigor herd. I do still have my mounted yeoman too, and Lewin looks like he is going to be killing that caster. It's going to be great for me, as I will be able to chase him off. Let's go ahead and get some of my knights in here to peel for Lewin before he absolutely explodes here. Come on, Lewin. Get it together, man. There we go. Lewin does find a little bit of safety there. And these knights can go ahead and hunt these guys down. Lewin, he does manage to escape. Good for him. And we can more or less reset now, since I have chased off the caster for the Beastmen. He definitely will not be coming back anytime soon. So Pegasus Knights can definitely chase him off. No issue in the slightest. And that means that there's not going to be any more Traderkins. So Now I just have to deal with the numerous numbers of Vestigor herd. Ooh, I didn't chase off the Butchers of Kalkengard either. So that's actually a tiny bit of an issue there for sure. But as long as, I don't run out of ammunition, I think I should be okay. Let's see, that guy's going to be off the battlefield. Butchers of Kalkengard being as annoying as ever. But I do have the liberty of using all of my ammunition like a madman. Let's go ahead and hit the ROR Vestigors too. That should be pretty nice for me. Possibly a nice charge on these Ungor Spearmen. That seems like a good opportunity for me. And then I have to decide, do I want to be grouping up for heals? Or do I want to be grouping up for those sweet, sweet dwellers below? I'm not entirely sure. In the meantime, though, it looks like some of these chaos spawn. Are these summons? They are summons. Okay, so I don't want to be shooting them. Let's go ahead and turn fire at will off over there. Reposition so that I can get some more shots in onto these guys. Then get my caster and my flying squad together so that they can heal themselves up. Let's go ahead and send a volley too onto those guys. Group up with these lads. Heal up the squad. Okay, there we go. And then shoot some more at the Vestigors. Alright, so this is Cycle Charge City. I have many opportunities to just slam into the Beastmen lines here. And if they decide to punish me by diving on in, I can simply charge them in the back and just slowly pick them off and hopefully win the game that way. Looks like, let's see here, Beastmen continuing to push forwards a little bit, but I do get a fairly clean disengage. Lewin is looking nice and healthy over there. And let's go ahead and charge in on this Minotaur. He's actually a little bit exposed, so I think I can get a pretty nice charge on him. I do terror out a few of those Vestigors too. And I do have my archers firing on in. Let's see, this might actually be a little bit of a bad engagement here, as a lot of my guys do get pretty hard surrounded. Let's go ahead and proc the buffs, says Lewin. Trying to hit the Vestigor. Not the best trade he's ever made in his life, I think. Let's go ahead and get a bit of a disengage going, why don't we? Since things are looking a little bit scary. I might want to send in some peasants too, to actually start getting some of these guys in combat. And then the mounted yeomen, well, they're going to be continuing to pick away at their targets. I really do need to find a way to shut down these guys, though. Let's go ahead and send in Lewin again on this further flank. Send in my knights to actually shut that down. Get my archers plonking away at those Vestigor halberds. And then send in some more Pegasus knights to give a little bit of support. It looks like the charging on Lewin is definitely going to be real here. They will actually be trying to take him out. But I actually do get a fairly nice engagement here. And potentially a pretty nice rear charge. Let's see, Lewin doing pretty healthy for himself. He is close to getting heal cap though. But in the meantime, I think I will actually go in for this rear charge on many of my units. Lewin, he's trying to take out the this Gorbel. He's doing decently for himself. I will have to disengage with him again though. And I do have a full surround on the Beastmen. Now this is going to tank their leadership pretty hard, but they do have Mogr in there. So he is fairly tight and happy inside the formation. I do manage to kill off that, what's it called? What's it called? The, not the Vestigor. Minotaur, there we go. I do kill off the Minotaur, so that's pretty good. I am getting a ton of terror routes too on Lewin. But the question is whether or not I can capitalize on it. I'm not entirely sure. But what I can do now, since all these guys are surrounded, I can slowly take down Mogr the Shadow Dave. Some buffs too on the leadership of my units should be able to help them out quite a bit. And Mogr, he's a pretty decent fighter, so I do have to be a little bit careful here. These Minotaurs too, the Butchers of Kalkengard, can rout off my units if I'm not careful, so I'll actually spend a little bit of time cycle charging them to get them out of the battlefield. There we go, Lewin's charge, getting them extremely low on HP. The Vestigors are now routing off. And look at that, the Beastmen absolutely surrounded here. Very uncharacteristic for the Beastmen. And we have routed off those butchers of Kalkengard, which means it's just the very elite Koroks Man-Rippers left. Let's go ahead and hit them with the debuff as we cycle charge with Lewin with absolute impunity to hopefully take him out. Balance of power is still actually relatively close, but Mogr taking an absolute beating here. It looks like he will be terror routing, and that will be game number 1 coming to us with the dreaded Bretonian Air Squad. Now, we would have actually been in a pretty rough situation had there been any amount of Centaur throwing axes, but lucky for us, there simply weren't, because we banned them. Amazing. Oh my gosh, look at that. Lewin getting really nice value for himself. Even the caster. 1,000 damage from a Dwellers Below. She actually paid for herself on the magic front. And all the cavalry doing quite well. Sick. All right, there we go. Nice. The next map. Let's go ahead and check it out. It's gonna be Iron Sand Desert. All right, sweet. Where is that at? Let's see, HI, there we go. Map set. And now our opponent will be able to get a little bit of a revenge on us. It looks like they are going Wood Elves, interesting. Now, the idea about Wood Elves, ban Dwarves and Greenskins, very standard bans. Wood Elves, their usual counter is Bretonia, but since I've already played them, it does actually make things a little bit scarier. I must say, just a tiny bit. Now, let's see, what's a faction that really can punish the Wood Elves here? Hey, Jeremy. Hello. Howdy, howdy. At the moment, we're trying to figure out what we want to use against the Wood Elves. Possibly the Lizardmen. The Lizardmen have a lot of options here. Let's see. Let's just take a quick look at their roster. It's not bad. It's not bad. Is there a lot of redundancy, though? Because there are unit bans, so he could take out my cavalry, which would be pretty hilarious. Oh, I know what I can do. I know what I can do. Oh, this is going to be hilarious. This is going to be absolutely hilarious. No, I could go Norska, too. Okay. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I'm going to go Norska against the Wood Elves. Now, Norska, typically not the best faction in the game, but there's something you can do here that should be rather devastating. Is banning Lords and Heroes allowed? It is. It is allowed. Actually, you know what? I could go the High Elves too. The High Elves are pretty devastating also. Let's see. Let's see. High Elves are pretty great. The thing about the Wood Elves, I can annihilate their front line. If I wanted to. Let's see. Or I can take out their cavalry, which is also pretty great. You know what? Let's go Norska. Let's go Norska. Here we go. The dreaded Norskins against the Wood Elves. Now, if we take a look at the Wood Elf army, right? Their front line is pretty... Oh, they do have 2 units of Eternal Guard, so I can't delete their entire front line. That's unfortunate. But what I could do, I could ban their elite cavalry. Oh, but they have a lot of cavalry too, so I can't hit all the Stag Knights. He banned Skin Wolves. Okay, so he's taking out my mobility. Let's see. I could take out his skirmishers, but there aren't many variants on the Wood Elf roster, which is pretty good. Eternal Guard, they count as the same unit, but in the actual rules of the tournament, they count as different. Let's see, variants and same units count as their own units. Yeah, there we go. My bad, I forgot to change to be clear on the rules there. If it's a different picture, it's a different unit. That's the general idea, except for RORs. So he banned Skin Wolves, and I feel like I can't win the cavalry fight, but I can take out all of his spears, which would be pretty hilarious. Alternatively, I could take out his lords. Ooh, this is scary. Like banning Glade Guard. Let's see here. Glade Guard. Which one's a Glade Guard? Oh yeah, the archers. The thing is he has 3 variants, which actually helps him out a lot. Let's see, what's the scariest thing here? Oh, I could ban lords, actually. But that's not too important, I don't think. And he banned skin wolves. What will I do without skin wolves? I could force him to take only starfire shafts and then go for an unarmored army. That'd be pretty hilarious. But I could just take out his wild riders. I feel like that's actually a pretty safe play. Maybe ban the stag knights too. Let's see, let me check Norska real quick. Does Norska have easy magic damage? Oh, they do. So perhaps I don't have to worry about stag riders. Ban unshielded wild riders. All right. My hand is face up now. He knows I'm going to be hitting his wild riders. That means his elite cavalry is going to be in for a little bit of a rough time. And then I can ban the shielded wild riders. And then I'm good. Hopefully. It's going to be wood elves without wild riders. One of their core tools to deal with the mobility of Norska. Everyone knows that the Chad move is to ban the Great Eagle. That's pretty crazy. Destroy the whole roster in one swoop. That'd be something. That would be something indeed. The good thing for me, he can't ban all the mammoths. So, although they get shot to death so easily. I don't know what build I want to take exactly. If I'm going to go a full-on mobility build or something else. We'll have to see after his second ban. Let's see, but I can really abuse the fact that he doesn't have wild riders. Essentially going a pretty high mobility build. And going from there. He banned normal skin wolves, so I could still take armored, the armored variant. By the way, more skin wolves still are open for me. Just a heads up. Alright, just letting him know. He bans the Javelin Cavalry at 525. Okay. Pretty interesting pick. Ban the other wild riders. Okay. So I've hit his wild riders. He's hit my my cavalry. Now, I can take Marauder Horse Masters, and I can still take armored skin wolves, but things definitely start getting pretty expensive from there. What else could I do? Every time you see the name Rage Man, it makes you think of Dayman from It's Always Sunny. I've never seen that. Let's see. How restricted are armored skin wolves? I feel like they should be okay. Let's see. High elves. Norska armored skin wolves. Yep. Yeah, they're pretty good. Looks like my opponent isn't surprised by the rules or anything, so I think we're all on the same page here. And let's go ahead and take my wolf build. So this is a really fun build. It's a full mobility build from Norska. And really the scariest threat to it is something like a... The scariest threat is something like... oh, what am I thinking about? Like wild riders, yeah. If there's a lot of elite cavalry for the high elves, it gets a little bit scary. But with an army like this, I'm feeling pretty good. Wolfric, we can go ahead and take him on a mammoth. He gets real expensive. Maybe just a horse, and we'll make him real cheap. And the overall thing that I'll be trying is just rushing down my opponent as fast as I can. I want to take out all of the ground troops as soon as possible. And then just... and then the air units won't really be able to do much, since I'll have a big ol' ground army. So I took out my Javelin Cavalry and my normal skin wolves. I do still have the armored variant. I have a lot of wolves, which is going to be great for me. In fact, I can still take a Manticore, just have a little bit of air pressure. Although that Manticore might get routed off pretty quickly. And... let's see, do I have enough to break a box? I do have Final Transmutation, which is quite good against boxes. Alternatively, I could switch these guys out for throwing axes, which could be good too. Take out metal shifting, yeah, I guess. It doesn't really, oh, it gives me pretty good money actually, wow. It saved me 100 gold. Good call, Hank, good call. Now, I'm tempted to take the Miststalkers, but they're just so expensive. These Marauder Horsemasters will do okay. And the scariest thing is if he goes for some sort of box strategy. That would be the absolute worst, but I think barring that, I should be okay. Let's go ahead and put down some chevrons too. Has this been fun or cheesy so far? It's been very fun. There's a lot of strategy here, and it changes how you approach matchups by a ton. Alright, but here we go. I have my full mobility force. So today, I banned both of his Wild Riders. So his cavalry is going to be extremely weak. I can then take a really mobile army to hopefully abuse that fact. Now, he could take a lot of infantry, but I have Final Transmutation. I have Wulfric. Overall, Wood Elf infantry is pretty weak without their cavalry support. So I'm feeling pretty confident. Wild Riders would be a little bit of a pain, but if I do see them, or Stag Knights, I mean the Sylvan Knights, I can hit them with the Final Transmutation if needed. If he goes for an air squad too, I have so much mobility. I'm thinking I could probably just rout off all of the ground army before we actually dive on into the game. You were really salty when you found out you couldn't play. Oh no, that's rough. You got a text 5 minutes after you signed up? Jeez. Yeah, that's unfortunate, man. But hey, next time. Now, we will be hosting bonus tournaments pretty often. Maybe 2 or even 3 every month. So, honestly, there's a good opportunity to find more that you can join in on. But here we go. My classic Norskin max mobility build. Here we go. We got a ton of wolves. We got a Manticore. It's taken to the skies. And the rest of the army is literally just all mobility. I have a ton of dogs. And my opponent can't bring Wild Riders. So, honestly, I can't see how this could possibly go wrong. Let's go ahead and give the good luck, have fun. Take a look at his army. It's extremely small, which means this Metal Caster, he's going to be the hero of the day for sure. Worst case scenario, we also have these Marauder Horsemen to kill off any Durthus that we might run into. Alright, here we go. So my opponent is ready. We begin the battle. It is an air skirmisher build. So I want to be pushing these guys off with my flyers. Let's go ahead and just rush them forwards. And then flank overload this left-hand side, as I definitely don't really need to attack this flank. Now, we got Treekin here. But, interesting fact, these Norskin Ice Wolves deal armor-piercing damage. Who's this? It's just a little Durthu. Nothing to be too worried about. I can get my Javelins in. I can get my Wolves in. And then Wulfric, we're just going to be waiting to hit them up with the abilities. Now, I don't want Durthu to Sword of Date me and kill all of my stuff here. So I do have to be a little bit careful. I gotta keep Wulfric away from him specifically, as that is quite scary. I will be surrounding the infantry as best as I can, though. And potentially a pretty nice opportunity to dive in on Durthu. I'll hit him with the debuffs. I'll hit these guys with the boat. He throws down the Sword of Date, which means that I can now start grouping up with a lot of my units. And then we'll see how well Wulfric actually does against the mighty Durthu. Let's see, I also have a few abilities here and there. The wolves are having an absolute heyday. Wolfrick's getting a little bit beat up, so let's go ahead and pull him into a little safer position here. Oh my gosh, what a beating. What an absolute beating on Wolfric. He gets annihilated there by that attack from Durthu. But the rest of the Wood Elf forces is having a little bit of a rough time. Let's see, the Manticore too, it has rampaged. And over here, let's see, I could throw down a final transmutation actually, and hopefully hit up those Treekin on the far side. My caster getting a little bit beat up. He's not too happy about that. But in the meantime, we have successfully run over all of the Wood Elf. We've run over all of their infantry. Now, that's not going to be the end of things. The infantry is a long ways away from the rest of their forces, but the Skin Wolves are doing rather well for themselves. They've killed off most of the Treekin, which is going to be quite nice. My caster getting absolutely gooned out here. Not great for him. And over here, it looks like these Treekin are still being a little bit of an issue. So let's go ahead and pull my forces back and away from that and get a little bit of a better surround going. Wolfric's doing okay. But over here, it seems like my fight against these Treekin not going as well as I would have hoped. But farming those cycle charges is going to be the key to victory here, as all of my units have extremely high charge bonus, and they'll hopefully be able to really shut things down. But oh man, I think that's a huge Sword of Death on a lot of my guys. That is not the friendliest thing that could have possibly happened to me. And meanwhile, Durthu, he's still in relative good health. Balance of power is pretty even though, so that's nice. Wolfric's getting beat on, however, and I'm gonna have to consider actually trying to kill off Durthu here. Now he has to use both Sword of Death. Let's go ahead and hit them with the debuff, split up my forces here, and then start getting some charges into the backs of these Treekin, as I definitely want to be killing them off. Durthu. Oh, is that the Sword of Death? Man, I'm not sure which spell is which, but man, the AoEs have been really punishing me here. My caster is back though. Wolfric. He's getting shot down by a lot of these Hawk Riders. Let's go ahead and throw in a boat. There's not really much else to hit at this point in the battle. But can I deal with this? The Hawk Riders have really chunked down Wolfric for this entire battle, and I just did not have a lot to really shut them down by the looks of it. Perhaps a double Manticore would have been more warranted, but there we go. My army is routing off, and it seems like the battle is going to go the way of the Wood Elves. No, not like this. Not like this. Let's go ahead and pull in my forces. Try and get one final push in on Durthu. This Manticore is going to have his work cut out for him for sure. And my caster, oh, he does not want to get engaged there, as he would get absolutely demolished. So, javelins are throwing in. They're going to be trying to snipe out Durthu. Wolfric is off the battlefield. I repeat, Wolfric is off the battlefield. Meanwhile, the final charge of the trees comes on in. I do still have the Manticore, and we're going to Hail Mary it and try and take out the big tree himself. What is this? Is that the Sword of Death? No, he's been spamming Flocks of Doom. Absolutely brutal. It wasn't Sword of Death. It was... Yeah, that's why there were tons of AoEs. Oh my gosh, that really does punish the dog builds, doesn't it? Maybe I should have gone more javelins. But my army, it is routing. I do still have Skin Wolves left though, so the game is not over. They've chunked down the Hawk Riders quite well, but I don't think I have enough. Oh man, I should have taken one javelin. I should have known. Hey, but my caster's back. Let's hit him up with a big final transmutation and see if we can end the battle there. It's gonna be a close one. Let's see, he's casting. He's getting knocked around. Oh, but he lands it. What a hero. He lands the... No, does he? He doesn't. Oh my gosh, what a traitor. What a traitor. He doesn't land the final transmutation. It just barely didn't go off. That's absolutely brutal. I think he died. This might be game. You were really salty. Oh yeah, okay, no, never mind. I thought there were new comments. Chat's been strangely quiet today, but viewership is doing really good. Now, let's go ahead and charge back in with my forces. I think the chances of me winning here are nearly zero, but the balance of power does still give me hope. So let's just go ahead and dive in with all of my forces. We routed off a few Treekin. We have a pretty nice surround here. Actually, a lot of these guys getting routed off. Potentially a comeback? Potentially a mass rout on the forces of the Wood Elves? We'll have to see. as once these Hawk Riders actually rally and charge my Skin Wolves in the back, it's going to be a little bit of a different story for sure. More Treekin are routing. Hawk Riders are starting to leave the battlefield. But man, look at that leadership. Durthu barely holding. Ah, GG. GG. Absolutely brutal. Oh my gosh, we couldn't pull it together. Oof. Big oof, but pretty good, pretty good. I did like the build. I wasn't expecting the Treekin, admittedly, and I probably should have taken some more javelins actually. But all in all, it was close enough where I'm rather happy with the build. But now my opponent will be picking 3. We're on to actually, yeah. If I hit that final transmutation, that actually might have won me the game there, but unfortunately, it did not. And now we are moving on to Oakenhammer, the final match of this best of 3. Will I be able to win it? Or will Swarv be able to move on to the finals? We will have to see. Human Boy saying, I've been working on some board game stuff. Sorry for not screaming at you. Okay, cool, cool. You've been waiting for your game at the top of the bracket? Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I think, is the bracket still... Are you still waiting for your match, Human Boy? I guess the odds are possible. Let's go ahead and double check the bracket. Why don't we? Yeah, you are still waiting. All right, well, I guess you get to sit back and enjoy the stream in the meantime. Things actually lined up fairly well in terms of going through the tournament, so I'm pretty happy with that. Hey, map sets. So, my opponent is picking 3. The rules state that the person banning is the one that removes factions first. So remember that. If you ban the Bray Shaman, oh yeah, you could do that. You can, if you ban the Bray Shaman, you have to specify the hero or the lord. The banding system is very targeted, Rusty. So keep that in mind. What's the most disappointing unit in the game? Wow. Bloated Corpses. I don't know. There's a lot of disappointing units, but I feel like Bloated Corpse could be such a new type of unit. But it's just so bad that it doesn't give the impact that you would hope for. It gets countered way too easily. Alright, cool, cool. Yeah, you can only ban a single unit card, but the RORs come with it, so that's nice. All right, you're on your tiebreaker? That's exciting. We got 2 tiebreakers going on right now. Bloated Corpse equals best unit in the game. It is! It's just disappointing. But here we go. Greenskins, Dwarves, and the Lizardmen. Banning Coast. We could go for some Dark Elf action. Is there good redundancy here? Not much of a front line, but I could sort of make do. Let's see. Against the Greenskins... What are we really worried about for the Greenskins? I guess I could ban the Greenskins, play against the Dwarves. That's not too bad. Yeah, let's do that. What's the worst that can happen with Lizardmen, right? Dark Elves ban the Greenskins. I feel pretty happy with this. Let's try it out. Did someone use them in a faction war once? Use what? Dragons? Bloated Corpses? Oh, maybe, actually. Maybe. That does not mean they are viable, though. Unfortunately. Very, very unfortunately. Okay, and cool. We got the Lizardmen pick. Okay, so I ban first. Wait, no. You ban first, since you ban. Alright. So we got the Lizardmen. We're gonna see what he's gonna ban. Dark Elves are good because they have a lot of shielded variants. So they can actually opt for that. Enticity in his guide videos. Always check your opponent's spells. Enticity 10 minutes into the battle. Oh no, those are a flock of dooms. That's true, that's true. I guess, wow. Okay, yeah. Yeah, who would have guessed it? You know, always remember to bring a caster, guys. You know, only a scrub lord would forget to bring their caster. So you gotta be really on point for that, for sure. Alright, now what are we gonna ban for the Lizardmen side of things? The hilarious thing about this format, both players switch to the other faction while looking around. I'm thinking Chameleon Skinks and Chameleon Stalkers is probably a really safe bet. You know, he could bring Chameleon Skirmishers, but that's not especially great. Alternatively, I ban the double cavalry play or Pterodons. I could ban both Pterodons, actually. No flying units for the Dark Elves is pretty hilarious. Autocorrect keeps calling them boats. Amazing. Knowing the right thing to do and doing it in the heat of battle are two very different skills. That's true. Although the beginning of the battle is not very heated, I appreciate the how relaxed you are with my gameplay. Oh, he banned the Blackguard of Nagorond. Interesting. Now, Chameleon Skinks, very solid ban. I would be so happy to get those guys off of me. Let's see. Yeah, Chameleon Skink ban is pretty good. You know what? Ban Chameleon Skinks. There we go. That's one of the most annoying units gone for the Dark Elves. And then what else? Do I ban the solar engines? Banning solar engines is pretty good. That gives me the huge advantage when it comes to cavalry, especially with the Skinks gone. So I feel like I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see, it basically forces him to rush if I take out the solar engine. And then I could more or less hard prepare for that. He did ban the Blackguard of Nagorond though, which is a really strong tool. But will he ban the other unit? That's good. Ban the Kai? Now that's a Chad move. That's a real Chad move right there. They still got the Coatl as flying units. Yeah, Coatl's a little bit off meta. Ban the Scourge Runners. Okay, here we go. Ban Solar Engine. Okay, here we go. We got the bans. So, we banned the Solar Engine and the Skinks. He banned Blackguard and Scourge Runner. The very meta units on both sides here getting absolutely banned out. But if there's no Solar Engine, what can I actually take? Malekith, perhaps? Even on a dragon? Because there's no range units? Now that's a pretty spicy play, isn't it? Take Malekith on a dragon. Take the Soul Stealer. Take some of his abilities, I guess. Maybe this one and this one. Does this work? Does this map-wide miscast chance work? Does it actually hurt Mazdamundi and such? I'm not sure. That's right, it's dragon time, guys. We don't have Blackguard, but we have Witch Elves. We have Dread Spears. Now, the Witch Elf Malekith combo, definitely quite strong. The Witch Elf Dark Shard combo, devastating to the forces of the Lizardmen. We got Black Art Corsairs, which are amazing. They still have Javelin Skinks and Chameleon Stalkers. Yes, but they're a lot less scary in my eyes. I'm not too worried about that in the slightest. Let's see, but that's actually all my money. So, let's see. You know what? Let's cut these guys. I sort of want a little bit of cavalry. These guys are great if you don't have to worry about solar engines. So that's pretty good. Chill of Sontar. Ooh, maybe. Maybe. Now, I don't need that many range units. It's very likely that my opponent is rushing me. But I need enough range units to make sure that I can still shoot down all of the main threats. Indeed. Let's see. He can bring Chameleon Stalkers, which is oh so annoying. But let's see. What's the scariest threat? I do need Harpies, too. Definitely need Harpies. Man, Malekith is expensive. Who would have guessed? You know what? I only need 2 crossbows if I have Malekith on anti-large duty. Yeah, 83 watching. This has actually been a great stream today. Despite the tournament turnout not being like, it's decent, but not a huge tournament turnout. It seems like a lot of people are interested in watching this type of content. So that's definitely very exciting. You know what? I don't need that many Witch Elves either. I sort of feel like going a bit heavier on the cavalry. In fact, the Cold One Dread Knights the pro play, look at these guys. They have 120 armor. This means that Chameleon Stalkers actually do rather bad for them. Why bring Malekith's item? Well, this one reduces power reserves. You know what? Maybe I don't need that. Maybe I don't need this either. The ability recharge is good for Mazdamundi, though. This feels like it's good. It's insanely expensive, though, but human voice asking, telling me to let me dream, so maybe this is a terrible choice. But what else do we got? Repeater crossbows? Maybe. I don't really feel like going the mobile game this time around, though. I'm definitely going to be going pretty defensive melee focused, since I am really expecting a rush here. Look at the range, 40 meters of what? This? Yeah, I know, but it's constant. If he dives in on Mazdamundi, Mazdamundi can't heal anymore, and he can't net, which is pretty sick. We'll try it out. It's only 200, needs more Manticore. Manticores are so boring, though. Let's see, double Harpies for the Pterodon Riders. That's gonna be quite nice. We got the range units. We got, what else? We don't got the Blackguard of Nagaron, but we got the Witch Elf Dark Shard combo. Elite Cold One Dread Knights. What could possibly kill these guys? I can't even fathom it. There's nothing. There's nothing that'll kill them. I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and do it. We have a pretty nice cavalry force going on. Anti-Pterodon play. I think this is pretty good. Solar engines will have a rough day. One Manticore greater than 2 Harpies. Against Pterodons, I actually much prefer Harpies. In all seriousness, Harpies are they don't rampage into the enemy, which is definitely a plus. Now, the odds of my opponent going for a full kite here are rather low. I've taken out one of the tools that is sort of integral for a full kite. And if we do see a lot of stalkers, it shouldn't be too threatening either. If it's a cavalry, if it's an infantry build, I think I win on the cavalry fight. And Malekith is a pretty beastly guy. He just has to avoid the Chameleon Stalkers, which isn't too difficult. Ooh, we will see, though. We will see. Alright. How do you guys feel about the build, though? I'm pretty confident. I feel like it's a good build. Lizardmen always rush here, though. Sometimes they take double solar engine, and they shoot out your your range units. They shoot out your Scourge Runner chariots, your lords. So solar engines are a huge pain for the type of defensive Lizardmen play. In this case, though, I'm feeling pretty good. It's all on the Dread Knights, though. I've seen a couple people running them. They did get an HP buff recently, so they're a little bit tankier. I feel like there's a chance that could work out. Come on, Swarv, bring double bow stegodons. That would be terrifying. Literally and figuratively. That would shoot me up pretty hard, especially the Dread Knights. I would be worried. I would be worried. But the lack of chameleon skinks, though, what a blessing. It beats solar engine. Usually take double bolt thrower. Yes, so that's the luxury I get this time around. I don't have to take bolt throwers because I banned out the solar engines. Definitely a really nice win for me. You think it's going to be mass chameleon stalkers? That'd be something. You forget what they're called? Yeah, mass chameleon stalkers. There's a chance they might ruin me, but they have pretty low ammunition, so I don't think I'll be getting kited out anytime soon. It's basically gonna have to be a rush from my opponent here, Swarv. And here we go, he's ready. Here we go, on to the ace match of this good old tournament here. We are on Oakenhammer. Quite exciting indeed. Will we be able to take out the forces of the Lizardmen, or will we be run over due to the lack of Blackguard? Wicked in chat, welcome. Frequent moderator of all Discords, saying thanks for the stream. Gotta head off to your last day of work this week. Hey, that's pretty blessed. Last day of work on a Monday. Look at that, man. Alright, but have a good day. Have a good day, Wicked. Now, here we go, loading on into the game. Will we be able to win? I have no idea. Human boy, still probably waiting for his opponents to show up and face him. Human boy, if your opponent actually shows up... Oh wait, yeah, waiting for the semifinals anyway, so... Never mind. You're gonna have to wait regardless. You don't know, he got rid of Blackguard. He might go with Saurus Box. I would actually be fairly happy facing up against Mass Saurus. Malekith is actually fairly good there, same with the Witch Elves. The army sizes are fairly close for both sides here. So perhaps my opponent has gone a similar army. For my cavalry, boom, look at that. Cold One Dread Knights taken to the flanks. Their job is a defensive one this game. They'll be doing their best to do that. Witch Elves. If any dinos tries to push through my front line, they're going to get caught up by the Witch Elves. Hopefully rampage to death. Harpies in the air. They're going to be stopping any Pterodon shenanigans dropping on my Dark Shards. We definitely don't want that, and that's it. A nice and simple build here. I'm feeling pretty confident. We'll see what my opponent decides to go for. It's a pretty small army, actually. It could be a Saurus heavy build, but I think I'm okay versus that. I will still have to win the cavalry fight, and I might try to do that on the left flank with Malekith. We could do a bit of a flank overload, just sort of rotating my infantry this way. My bad, this way. My cavalry, and then rotating my infantry around like this. That way, if he doesn't reposition, I'll be good. And even if he does wheel his forces, sort of like so, my cavalry is a bit faster, so they'll be able to hit this place while my infantry disengages. And they'll be making sort of a front line like this. This drawing, by the way, is great. I love it. I feel like a weatherman. You know, you can do some green lines too. Pretty nice. Look at that. 50 meters is about this far, I think. Actually, it's like closer to this far, but... You know, what can you do? We will also remember to check the abilities on my opponent this time around. As is very important to do at the start of the battle. And we'll see how it goes. Is he ready, though? Did I ready? Yeah, I said good luck, have fun. I am really hoping that we see some Saurus warriors, though, as I can outmaneuver them pretty hard. And there we go, he is ready. Checking the abilities of my opponent. Oh my gosh, it's a Dread Saurian. It's Krokgar. He has Hand of the Gods. Let's watch out for that. And a Manticore summon. Malekith, you better stay back. You don't want to get Hand of the Godded to death. That would be very unfortunate. Let's go ahead and move up my front line. We're gonna go over here. Get the Lizardmen into an awkward position. We have the time to stall out the battle a little bit. Chameleon Stalkers. They show up. Volley on the Dread Spears. Not that much damage. Completely fine for me. Another volley on the Dread Spears. Not too much damage. Overall, pretty good. Let's go ahead and get into position. Continue overloading here. I do have the nice mobility advantage, so I will be taking advantage of that. And hopefully catching out a few of these guys. I can continue rotating here and denying the flank, as I do still have that mobility advantage, but a pretty big spell hits up these Dread Spears. They're going to be on the verge of breaking. We'll bring Malekith up to get them a little bit higher. And then go ahead and start engaging these Saurus warriors. Come on. Oh, that's a breath attack. Whoopsie daisies. Let's go ahead and get ready that Gaze of Malice, I think. Let's go ahead and get the Dark Shard shooting, actually. And then continuing to wheel like this. This should be quite nice for the Dark Shards. In the meantime, I will want to get I guess a breath attack on these skinks just to shut them down a little bit faster. Charge these Chameleon Stalkers a little bit. And then Gaze of Malice like so. The Dread Saurian has dived on in. And now I want the Harpies to shut down these Chameleons. I don't want Malekith taking too much damage. And there we go. He takes the first hit. But overall, I think things are going pretty well for me. Let's see. Big ol' Soul Stealer here. Gonna be hitting up all of these guys. I land on the Dread Saurian, and it does rampage, which is quite nice for me, which means that my Dark Shards will be able to really lay into it. But Massive Mundi does charge in. And I forgot, the rampage can get negated by the Lizardmen. So let's go ahead and pull Malekith away. Let's bring these guys back, since they definitely want to be supporting in this fight instead of chasing off a few of those guys. And then my Dark Shards are going to be pulling back into a safer place. Meanwhile, looks like an AoE does drop. It's up a few of my units, but look at that, the Dread Saurian. It's getting rather low. Malekith is going to have to play safe for a bit, especially with the Manticore flying around. We have to really be wary of that. Dark Shards continuing to play keep away. And I think I can get a pretty nice intercept here to save Malekith from the Manticore. And look at that. We do manage to rout off the Dread Saurian. That is pretty huge. Malekith is going to run in and finish it off. But actually, instead, we could go for Kroq-Gar and give him a little bit of a beating. Especially since we have the Witch Elves nearby. The Dread Saurian looks like it is going down. And the Soul Stealer has dropped. Go ahead and see if we can actually hit Kroq-Gar with it. Oh, and he just barely takes the hit. Cavalry now diving in on top of him. And Malekith, he is going to be looking for a nasty breath attack on Kroq-Gar. It's a little bit of a risky play, since he does have the chance of dodging it. And it looks like he dodges it. Okay, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but we can still make do. The caster also. For the Lizardman, we're going to run him down with our cavalry. Dread Saurian does fall, and the balance of power is in my favor. Using that superior mobility advantage, Kroq-Gar still being a little bit of a threat here to many of my forces. The main priority is to make sure that my Dark Shards live, though, since if they can keep it together, Kroq-Gar, he won't be too much of an issue, since I can just shoot him to death. A few of my Dark Shards, though, on the flanks, they are getting a little bit beat up. To keep a close eye on them to make sure that they don't get punished too hard. Malekith, he's running away from a skink because it's actually Kroq-Gar that he's worried about. And the skink will live. The potential for another Manticore summon is definitely there. But if I can just continuously knock him down, that should be okay. And actually a pretty nice terror route opportunity here on the flank using Malekith. Some Harpies can chase off these chameleon skinks too. I definitely don't want them using all of their ammunition, and there we go, we did get that skink priest of beasts out of there. He's going to be routing off and won't be much of an issue in this later stage of the game, which means that it's just finishing off Kroq-Gar now. I can position directly above him, hopefully get a nasty breath attack. We'll see if this one actually works. And look at that, the massive breath attack causing the victory today. Look at that. Look at that. A humble cavalry build actually working out pretty well. That poor Dread Saurian, though, took a beating. That took an absolute beating. This poor guy. He got rampaged. He got slowed down. And this one unit of Dark Shards got more value than the Dread Saurian. Brutal. Brutal. The Knights doing well for themselves, and Malekith doing okay. He did decently for himself. But GG. GG, that means, you know what that means, guys? We will be able to watch the game between Human Boy and Energized, who's going to be on up next. Let's go ahead and change the score. Human Boy going to be coming in at 0 wins against Energized. Also at 0 wins. Energized, there we go. Hey. Let's do it. How are the picks and bans? Okay, Sartorial and Manticores have been banned. That's pretty exciting. We'll see what else has been banned in just a second. As soon as I report my scores, I'm also going to open a window because I'm melting. Oh, there we go. A little bit of airflow always goes a long way. Okay, now what do we got? We have Poison Wind. Both Poison Wind globes have been banned. Okay, now that's pretty good. That's pretty good. The main anti-infantry of the Skaven that has been used for so long has actually been completely deleted by our tournament, no, not the tournament organizer. Completely deleted by Energized. Human Boy, yes, is going to be having to decide how to create a build that manages to survive against the forces of Chaos Infantry without such a good clearing bomb tool. That's the bracket, by the way, as you can see there. So we'll have to see. What options do you guys think in chat are actually going to be good here for the Skaven anti-infantry? They don't have many options, but they did make do before. Yeah, mortars and globadier are banned. Double hell pit abomination, that seems like a pretty fun choice. And important to note, sartorial and manticores have been banned, which means that a lot of the sniping potential for chaos is gone. Skaven do not have to worry as much about the they don't have to worry about the single entities of chaos nearly as much. They still got death globes, that's true. If only Spirit Leech did not delete them off the battlefield. Maybe might take warp fire throwers then, because those bans make you think of lots of cheap infantry. Potentially elite infantry too, actually, but warp fire throwers should be able to deal with them quite well. More Skatar's Hellion, that's a choice. Not one that you see very often, but pretty good anti-single entity. 100% Snickage. Okay, we got Felix making the calls right now. Will you be correct? Or will you not? We will see as the match is actually loading now. And we'll see what these players have actually decided to bring. Overall, I gotta say, Red Wedding Planner, if you're in chat, this is an insanely fun game mode. It's like normal Warhammer, but all the matchups are like, you see different builds. It's so good. It's so good. I'm loving it. I really do enjoy this. For sure, I will be doing this type of format more in the future because, you know, a lot of the formats like campaign units and so on, although fun, they do change the meta pretty extremely. But this one feels a lot closer to home for me, and it has a lot of strategy going on without really making any factions too broken. Like, yeah, you're sort of just not sure which faction is the best faction in this format, which is just great. It's also a little bit of a nerf to Beastmen because they don't have that much diversity, which is nice because they're really meta at the moment. But here we are in the game. For Human Boy, yes, we have a Gracier of Plague with the dreaded 13th spell. Human Boy, keeping it nice and classy here with the dreaded 13th and a normal zombie summon. We got a Chieftain with the Guardian effect. And look at that, the Thing Hell Pit Abomination. ROR Hell Pit Abomination, it comes with this ability, Fluid Injection, makes it an extremely good fighter in melee. Meanwhile, the artillery at the bottom, it gets Zazap Cannon, gonna be coming in with that cooldown reduction range attack, and the rest, a lot of just normal Skaven Slave frontline. The ranged tools here, double warp fire thrower. He doesn't have to worry about manticores, so the flying game is going to be a lot less scary for chaos. There's also the assassin with his debuff, so let's see what chaos has to bring. It looks like we got a chaos sorcerer lord of metal in the air, predicting that there's not going to be a lot of anti-air for the Skaven. Taking the dragon for once, very uncommon for chaos. Triple chaos spawn, a unit of dogs, and what's this on the far side? A unit of dogs. But more importantly, the actual winners here, the front line, the Forsaken, ×2, triple. Oh my gosh, triple chosen. Oh, I love this format so much. It lets you take the units that you want to take. Absolutely amazing. Triple chosen. I have not seen this in forever, possibly years. Since like the first Warhammer multiplayer game I saw, which by the way was Chaos Against High Elves, where I did see Chosen. But this is something new. This is something new indeed. And I don't know if the Warp Fire Throwers can actually kill off these very elite Chaos Infantry. The rest of the Skaven forces won't be that efficient versus them either, but the dreaded 13th spell might be the saving grace. Good luck, have fun. Coming in for both sides. Skaven advancing, it looks like Human Boy wants to get that Warp Lightning Cannon up a little bit closer so he can start shelling those Chaos Spawn. But if you take a look at this map, it does play in quite a bit. This hill is completely masking the forces of Chaos. It can barely be seen from the position of the Warp Lightning Cannon, and that's going to be blocking line of sight pretty hard for Human Boy. This slight incline slope is going to be rough, but the first shots come down. Oh my gosh, and they tear through the Chaos Spawn. They don't get any kills, but pretty good damage all around. The Zap Cannon, you can see that working for sure. Oh yeah, it's a great artillery piece. It's very accurate compared to other Skaven artillery, I think. So it's pretty nice for sniping out tools. And look at that. Nice target fire on the Chaos Spawn, but they just keep getting back up. Chaos Spawn not having a hard time in the initial phases of the battle. That might change depending on how quickly the Skaven can melt the cheap units. Indeed, as these units aren't really that cheap either. They're actually rather expensive for Chaos. The Warp Lightning Cannon. Now focusing the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Metal. He gets some pretty good jukes down though. Especially for someone on a dragon, but eventually he does take a single hit. Another shot rings out though, but also misses. Now these dogs, what just happened? The dogs just walked through the Skaven slaves and did not actually get engaged. Getting a little bit shanked there at the start of the battle. Not a great trade for the dogs. And now the Warp Lightning Cannon, still firing at the Chaos Lord. Now he doesn't have healing, so all the damage is permanent, so dodging is imperative there for him. But what he's done, he's distracted the Warp Lightning Cannon so that the rest of his forces don't take too much damage. And now, the Chaos Chosen, mighty Chaos Warriors advancing. They take the first volley of Warp Fire, and they take no damage. Absolute beasts. They tank it like absolute chads. Look at that. Just no damage at all. This is not the poison wind that you have been looking for. Human Boy opting for plan B. Dreaded 13th, dead center on the Chosen. Takes out not a lot of their HP still. The Chosen absolutely tanking it. Meanwhile, on the flank, one of the dogs does get picked off. Really nice for Human Boy. You definitely don't want those dogs in the back line, but as I say that, one of them does manage to sneak through. Meanwhile, the Chaos Spawn are diving in. The Morskatar's Hellion. What the? Morskatar's Hellion, what are you doing here? Actually gonna be beating down the dogs just a tiny bit. I thought this was where'd the Helipid Abomination go? Anyways, Morskatar's Hellion coming on in on the side. Gonna be beating up those dogs, does terror rout them really quickly. Helipid Abomination not engaged yet, perhaps saving his stamina. And look at that, this front line is still, it's going okay. The Skaven are definitely holding, and the combination of the single entities are going to be helping out a ton. But the Warp Fire Throwers, they're getting routed off. Not a lot of firepower actually put down either, and they haven't done a whole lot to those Chosen. A breath attack does land, hitting those Skaven slaves. Actually not the most cost efficient breath attack ever, but what it does do, it breaks off those slaves so that the Chaos front line can continue collapsing in, making sure that all those Skaven units are shut down. But what can Chaos do to shut down these large single entities? Yes, there are Chaos Spawn, yes, there are Chosen, but they're not anti-large specialists. They will definitely be having a bit of a hard time, and an AoE does drop. I think that's going to be a final transmutation, and it is. It hits the single entities, going to be burning them down pretty hard, even hitting the Warp Lightning Cannon to make sure that it's off the battlefield. Bowmore saying the dreaded 13th, one of the most powerful explosions in the game, and it did nothing to the Chosen. Indeed, many other wind spells do a lot better. And here we go, another summon, another dreaded 13th too, getting slammed down onto those Forsaken. They take a big beating. The thing now rampaging at about half HP. Not the greatest position for it, but a nice rally of the Warp Fire Throwers. Gonna be getting in a lot of damage. They do have a leadership debuff. You can see it there under their missile strength. Gonna be routing off those Forsaken, and that's actually going to be a pretty big play here. But still pretty rough because look at that. The Morskatar's Hellion does actually run away from the battlefield, but the dogs are really far away, and it might actually be able to rally back, but actually no, it gets murdered extremely quickly by the Chaos Spawn. Morskatar is underperforming here, and the Chaos Lord puts an end to those Warp Fire Throwers, but not before they manage to get a terror rout on those Chosen. Strangely enough, Chosen do actually terror rout despite worshipping one of the most terrifying gods in the Warhammer universe. Scorch does drop, tickles those Chosen. They're not worried at all. In fact, it even routs off one of the Skaven slave units. And the Hellpit Abomination is getting pretty beat up now. It may actually be gone, maybe leaving the battlefield here. if things do not go well, but the leadership actually does spike up. The fluid injection and unholy clamor combined, making it actually looks like it might be winning this combat, and that's really good for its leadership. But it doesn't matter if you're winning if you're dead, because a Chaos Lord comes on in and gets a huge breath attack on that Hellion. Oh, but the heal! The last second heal. Will his leadership stabilize though? If it does, that's absolutely huge. And oh my gosh! Oh my gosh, the RNG! RNGs is coming on in for the Skaven. Gonna be blessing this Hell Pit Abomination, keeping it in the battle for slightly longer, but it gets its head torn off and it becomes a bunch of Skaven slaves. Chaos now taking a huge advantage here, and I think that Chosen frontline, acting like an extreme anchor for the Chaos forces, might be able to win it. Despite all odds, for once, the Chosen actually gonna be just absolutely devastating today. I'm really surprised at how well they did. They held up against the Warp Fire, they held up against the dreaded 13th, and they just rolled some faces into the pavement. You didn't actually realize that. Swear you've used it to delete Black Orcs before. For what unit, Bowmore? This game is completely over, so I am just looking at chat now. But let's see, must be the armor. It did do pretty well against the Forsaken, indeed. Oh, my hair keeps falling down. Yeah, it did well against the Forsaken, but it might just be the armor. Chosen are extremely armored up, but Death Globes would have destroyed them for sure. But let's go ahead and look at the values here. The Chosen, actually not paying for themselves, but they were at really high HP by the end of the game, so they definitely could have kept grinding it out. The Forsaken, though, very high DPS, helped. The Chaos Spawn killing the single entities did great. More Skatar's Hellion, this is why you don't run them. Less than 400 value. Now that's disappointing. Grazier, doing amazing though. You generally want to get above 1000 damage value with your spells, do well. And he did do that, plus the Clan Rat Summons got some damage too, so definitely quite nice. Whoa, look at that. What a beast. That final transmutation really helping him out there. That Chaos Sorcerer on the dragon. It seems like, you know, maybe that's a strat. Whatever your opponent bans, just take the slightly weaker version of it, and then you're good to go. But there we go, GG, well played. And it looks like Energized gonna go for the Lizardmen now. The bans gonna be picked. We'll see what they actually go for. Energized knows Human Boy's weakness. You can't beat no-named lords. Wow, alright. Well, now we all know. Now we all know, Jeremy. You don't remember how much Sharpnel? I have no idea what you're talking about, Bubba. Technically, it's a wind spell. Dreaded 13th, Shrapnel. Ah, that's what you're talking about. It does armor piercing, but the explosion doesn't. I see. Makes sense, makes sense. The slightly weaker version of Poison Wind did not work out too well for Human Boy. That's true. That's true, William, but I don't think they actually did the job as expected. Like, maybe the Deathglow Bombardiers actually were the answer that everyone needed. Alright, but cool. Nice, just gotta respond to quick Discord message and we are in. What are we gonna see for the players? It looks like we got Lizardmen ban the Coast and the Dwarves. A very nice pick, but it does leave the Dark Elves open. Human Boy taking the opportunity to get a little bit of that counter action in. And will he do the exact same thing I did? I feel like that would be pretty hilarious to do, but we'll have to see how that actually goes. Man, if only we saw Deathglow Bombardiers, that would have been hilarious, but the Skaven lines did get shut down pretty quickly, so I think regardless of what range unit we saw, it probably wouldn't have gone too well for Skaven. That was like a pretty traditional Chaos Rush, just missing a few of its tools. Okay, Energized banned Dread Spears. Now, this is a strategy that I was considering for this tournament. Banning out the base unit of your opponent so that they can't take the very bare bones units that they want. Human Boy considering what to ban. This means that he might be corralled into taking very elite units, since his cheapest frontline would be Corsairs at 650. Definitely not too comfortable if you have a backline you want to defend. Alternatively, he could go for a full cavalry kite, something that Falcon actually ran against me, which is also quite effective. Deathglow Bombardiers are really good, just hard to use. Indeed, they're actually pretty bad at killing single entities too, unless it's a big lumbering slow one, like a Dread Saurian or something. Okay, banning the Chameleon Skinks, something that I also did against the Lizardmen. Not a terrible choice in the slightest. And Energized has banned the swords. The Bleak Swords, not the Dread Swords. You got Dread Spears and Bleak Swords, Energized. Get it right! But I think Human Boy knows what he's talking about. So that means that the front line of Human Boy is gone. He's stuck with the very elite options, or the mid-tier. Now, I think Corsairs will still do quite well, but the lack of Dread Spears is pretty rough. That is a core unit that you want to have as a Lizardman. But the Chameleon Skinks are also gone. Skink Cohort, shielded, banned out by Human Boy. The melee variant specifically, that one's an interesting choice. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but it does stop him from getting overrun. Okay, Energized. He seems okay with it, not too devastated. And we'll see how this matchup plays out. Now, Human Boy can bring Chariots. He can also bring Blackguard of Nagaron. He can go extremely elite. Energized can take Solar Engines, but he doesn't have his Chameleon Skinks. And he doesn't have Skink Cohort either. A lot of some really good kite tools are down. So we'll see. The technical terms are Fear Spears and Sad Swords. That's amazing. Long Pull, that is amazing. Can we get that for every faction? I feel like a mod where you could change the names of everything. That would be just amazing, but one can only hope. Now, this matchup is actually a really fun one. Going back into some analytics here. This matchup comes in. You have a ton of different options for both sides. You got the Bolt Throwers to shut down Solar Engines. You got the Chariots, amazing anti-large, potential for kite on both sides, where the Lizardmen can go for Salamanders, Dark Elves can go for their Chariots, and their Dark Riders. Human Boy does not have as many of his kiting elements banned though in this format, and that's going to be pretty important. Oh yeah, Red Wedding Planner, it's amazing. This is great. Let's see, oh, it's Dov's idea. You take no credit for his skills. Wow, Dov. I gotta get in contact with them. Hopefully get a mod going or something. That'd be great. But here we go. They are playing, of course, the single entity game, also an option, but risky for both sides. A little bit less risky for Human Boy, but harder to tech into. Especially because, you know, like what do you have for single entities? You can't take the Chill of Sontar if you want to go for like a big, huge fighter. Of course, there's dragons too, which are usually pretty weak against Chameleon Skinks, but right now there aren't any. They are weak to Solar Engines though, which is very noted, which makes them extremely risky. As for Energized, we could see, let's see, what did he ban? Energized banned both of the melee front lines for Human Boy. What does that entail? Does anyone in chat have an idea why he would ban the cheap frontline units? If he goes for Saurus, they would have won the front line anyways, and the Lizardmen cheap units would lose versus Corsairs anyways. One interesting thing that could be done though, Saurus Warriors, they trade really well into Corsairs, so if Energized feels like he can make Human Boy spend a lot more money on his front line, and sorry if you can hear that, I think that's the garbage collection outside. If Energized can get Human Boy to spend more on his front line, it will definitely be putting on a lot more pressure. indeed. So we'll see if we see a Saurus frontline. We definitely won't be seeing a melee skink frontline, because they're banned. The band absolutely demolished. You kind of need the chaff to make a box. That's true. That's true. You lose out on a lot of play styles. Human Boy, he might actually be pushed into a kite style of play. And then what? If Human Boy has to kite, Energized has to... Energized can really hard counter it, especially with solar engines. That could be pretty bad. Human Boy could rush too, though, and that would change things up quite a bit. We've seen Dark Elf Cavalry. They are rather strong against Lizardmen, so we could see a bit of that. Mass Skirmishers. He has no shields. That's amazing. Lizardmen kite here. After you shut down the shields of the Dark Elves, that's pretty sick. Yeah, the normal skink ban felt pretty rough or strange. I'm not sure why you would ban normal skinks. The javelins serve just as well. So it's a bit of a strange choice from Human Boy. Just a tiny, just a itty bit. But perhaps he has a plan. Perhaps I am looking at that plan right now before my very eyes, and I cannot say what it is. Otherwise, it'd be stream sniping. So perhaps there's a bit of something there. Energized, though, has to be feeling pretty comfortable, right? You've taken out the chaff of the Dark Elves. You have a pretty strong idea of what they're going for, and you're up one game. Energized only has to do a little bit more to really come out on top, I think. But we'll see. We'll see. In the meantime, I guess I'll sit back, chill, and relax. However you guys been enjoying your days so far. I'm personally pretty excited to release more replay content. I recently got on the ladder a bit recently, so I will be able to play a few more games, or cast a few more games, as part of my ongoing video series. Super excited for that, since it's been doing amazingly well. And then from there I'll be continuing to host many a tournament. As many as I can host as my income allows. So all in all, I think the future is promising. Warhammer 3 on the horizon too. Also pretty great. Energized, checking for a rule break. The best build, always on the edge of the rules. Pretty good choice for sure. And both players are ready. They are loading on in. The winner, will be facing me in the finals. We'll see how well they actually do. As we get on to Iron Sand Desert, a very large map, very good for kiting, which both players may have gone for, but we'll see as soon as we get into the game. I guess I'll let's do some leg stretches while we wait. It's very important to stretch out. If you're sitting for long periods of time, stay hydrated, guys. As always, I wish there was a sort of a reward redemption thing for YouTube where you guys could do that, sort of like Twitch, but unfortunately we do not have that. Now, my favorite thing to do while waiting for the game to load is to examine the beautiful terrain that we have in Warhammer. Zooming in a little bit too far, seeing those janky textures. Ooh, look at that. Inside the rock. Seems like this outcropping. Yep, just sort of slammed in there. You can see it's just its own model. But we are in the game. And for Human Boy, we are seeing a mobile kite build. Lots of Dark Riders. Some with crossbows. One in the air. Gonna be flying. And a Black Dragon. Double Black Dragon. Marathi with Soul Stealer, Doombolt. The works, and her items to make it all cheaper. And Corsairs with handbows. No shields for Human Boy. For the forces of the Lizardmen, energized, coming in with Javelin Skinks. Who would have guessed it? The alternative to melee Skinks. A nice amount of cavalry. Double, oh, it's a mix. It's a mix. We got feral Cold Ones, Cold One Riders, Cold One Riders with spears, the Pokemon evolution of cavalry before us, and beside them, skink skirmishers, the lesser variant, the unevolved chameleon skinks, a lot weaker to missile fire because they don't have any resistances that those chameleon skinks have. That means that the Corsairs are going to be hurting them a lot more, and they don't stealth at all. Yeah, they don't stealth. You can just see them from the get-go. So that's going to be pretty good for Human Boy. But the Master Skirmisher, Oxyotl, coming on in with his pretty nice kit. He has his sniper ability to shoot at the cavalry. Generally takes out 3 models. His Master Predator, really good for being insanely hard to catch. And what's this? A Skink Oracle on the side with Fireball and Earthblood. You know, the combination of spells and Oxyotl might give this kite build a hard time. But let's not forget there are 2 dragons in the sky that could really wreck some face. You want to be the very best like no one ever was? I wish I could sing it, but I might actually get a copyright striked for it. So instead, I will say it in the most monotone way I can. Now, as the battle begins, we can see the Lizardmen forces. Definitely not that strong, but they do have cavalry support. This means that the Dark Elves can't really easily shut them down. Oxyotl casually taking off about a quarter HP off of Marathi there. Thankfully that your Lord is under attack icon makes it just completely impossible to see her HP. She goes in for a bit of a heal, hits 3 units. Will the caster get hit? Wow, look at that perfect spacing. He doesn't get hit. That will heal up Marathi though, but she's taken a huge beating at the start of this battle here. Breath attacks coming on in on the skinks. One landing directly on top of them. Doombolt hitting the other, but Marathi, her heal cap is already showing. That's a huge loss for the forces of the Dark Elves. And what we got over here, the Coatl coming on in the air. Not the best against dragons. In fact, the skinks not doing that much damage to them either. They have 80 armor, so they generally don't take that much damage. The Skink Oracle doesn't have his double shots anymore and isn't that effective either. So the dragons are doing quite well despite Marathi getting punished so hard in the early game. And now it looks like the Cold One Spear Riders are advancing. Meanwhile, the Corsairs, amazing tool here against all of these ranged units. They just have to make sure that the cavalry doesn't punish them too much. And oh my gosh, look at that. 500 gold value from one volley of the Dark Riders. That's a huge play for Human Boy. But interesting to note, the dragons do not have any healing. As they get slowly worn down over the course of the battle, they will eventually go down. And that's going to be very rough for them indeed. The Chameleon Skirmishers, note the Skink Skirmishers, going to be getting caught out by the Dark Riders. And you can see, without the physical resist, they take a lot more damage than is expected. The game's slowing down so we can get our analysis through. And the cavalry does dive on in. It looks like it's going to be a really nice connection on their charge, getting some nice hits on those Dark Riders. The dragons are going to be up in the air. It looks like potentially going in for a snipe, but this is a little bit of a rough timing since the Dark Rider crossbows can't support. The cavalry might be able to actually shut these guys down if they do land. So it looks like instead it's going to be a double breath attack for both dragons. 1 on Oxyotl, 2 on Oxyotl, and he gets extremely low. One of the black dragons committing both into melee. It looks like it's going to be a Lord snipe attempt, and this could be huge. Oxyotl getting terror routed. He's running for the hills. He's seen the forces of chaos, but he has not gone punched so hard in a long while. Meanwhile, in the distance, the Dark Rider crossbows do get lightninged. They take a good amount of damage, but do they lose models? They lose 15 models. That's pretty rough for them. That's a loss of 30% of their damage. But what's pretty rough now, Oxyotl is going to be off the battlefield. This increases the strength of the dragons dramatically, since they'll be able to survive longer. They're not getting constantly poked down. And, well, yeah, that's basically it. The terror, too, is going to be great for the cavalry and routing off the Lizardmen forces. So we'll see if we get any late game terror routes. But the Coatl shuts down one of the dragons. Going to be engaging him in melee. The weaker one, chasing off Oxyotl. Definitely a good choice. But this could potentially be a loss of the dragons here, if Human Boy is not careful. One of them is about to rout off, and the edge of the battlefield, it is right behind. A fireball looking to hit the other one. Connects, gets some pretty good damage. And this dragon is looking to run off for the hills. If it does actually rout, that's terrible for Human Boy. A breath attack coming down on Oxyotl. He is a moving target. Slippery as ever manages to escape. Oh my gosh, and he actually rallies too. Now that's going to be really rough for Human Boy. Oxyotl returning fire, baiting out the dragon, and actually will be routing off his chaser here. And that's going to be really bad for Human Boy. The other dragon getting chased off by the arcane phoenix of the Lizardman. The Coatl still at extremely high HP. And it's going to come down to how well these Dark Riders can actually do. They do have half of their ammunition. They have a decent number of models left. They will be able to take out the cavalry and possibly the skirmishers too. And one of the dragons is still around, so I don't think the game is entirely lost for Human Boy. But the fact that Oxyotl is still in the mix is going to be pretty rough. Really nice dodging too by Energized. Going to be keeping these skink skirmishers safe. And what's going to be done here? We'll have to see. The Coatl going to be coming in along the side, looking to be punishing the Dark Elf forces here, but gets chased off by the Dark Riders. What is really bad though is that none of these shots are really connecting. They're shooting to more play keep away with the Lizardman forces, and that means that it's going to get more and more rough as time goes on. And look at this, some skink cohort javelins getting charged by the cavalry. Really nice trade by Human Boy, and they do get shattered, which is quite good. But he's going to need to get all of his shots in on the cavalry, the Oracle, and the Coatl if he wants to win it here. The value of the Troglodon is probably insane. I fear the value too, but I'm sure the morbid curiosity of our viewers will get us to look at it. A huge Soul Stealer lands, but it misses the Skink Oracle. It hits Marathi on her way out. And this, while good against the cavalry, will it be enough? The dragon lands, a potential to snipe out Oxyotl, doesn't go for it because the Coatl is so close nearby. Another nice cycle charge. Exposes to a few of the skink skirmishers, not great. But the cavalry's a little bit distracted. Human Boy could potentially make a play here while the cavalry is away. It looks like the dragon looking to be making that play, but will it rout off as the skirmishers shoot it? It does. And Human Boy does get pushed into army losses. It looks like that's gonna be the loss for Human Boy. Energized coming out on top with a 2-0 victory against Human Boy. The dragons getting absolutely annihilated. They got decent value, but not enough. The skirmishers doing okay. But sadly, everything just needed a little bit more to win out that battle. Oxyotl killed the dragon on his own. Skink Oracle killed the dragon on his own. The caster did nothing. He actually did nothing for the whole battle. And for the Coatl dueling the dragon in the sky, definitely a very good play. So GG's, well played to Human Boy, you did well. You did well. He's not a fan of Oxyotl. Oxyotl, of course, one of the hardest lords to snipe out, at least in for his skirmisher play. Okay, I'll be jumping in. All right. Keep the lobby up. So let's go ahead and join in the match of Energized in the finals of the tournament. As you can see here, ever stacked in my favor. I had the bye, but I guess Human Boy did too. Energized gonna be defeating his opponent. Let's go ahead and join on in and see how well we can do in the finals. Once again, I've reached the finals. It's gonna be me, Enticity, from Clan ODM, up against Energized. I'm in the spectator slot. That's awkward. Let's go ahead and join properly this time and see what we're gonna do. I believe Energized is picking first, which puts me in a comfortable position. So we'll go ahead and see. All right, hey, here we go. So Energized is gonna be picking the maps. The first one The chill flow. Not MP Crossroads. Looks like he might be looking for the map. There we go, the chill flow selected. Nice, large, and flat map. And what will my opponent be going? We will have to see. You thought you could kill Oxyotl? Yeah, Oxyotl. Moving like foot lords take basically no damage from breath attacks. It's very hard to land your hits there. Looks like the lizardmen pick, and what will the bands be? What will they be? Tell that to Skrolk. That is true. That is true. Oxyotl, he is pretty speedy. That does help him also. Maybe you have to keep Skrolk on the move though. I don't think it's mostly Spirit Leeches that finish him off, but you know, you were pretty far away too. The breath attack does have a little bit of it misses just a tiny bit. We see Vampire Coast and the Dark Elves have been banned. This almost screams a dwarf pick, but let's see if I can do a bit better. You know what? I do feel pretty confident with the dwarves. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's go dwarves. All right. So playing as the dwarves, we have a lot of good options here, but Energized can do a few bans. So let's go ahead and take a look at his faction and see which factions he will be removing first. There are some pretty good options when it comes to the dwarves, but I feel like, you know, if I just ban out the Croxagores, I'm already feeling pretty comfortable. You know, ban the Croxagores, and then I'm good. Just ban the Croxagores, right? What else could really punish me here? You know, if it's just a Lizardman frontline with no mass, that's pretty great, honestly. Ban out the Croxagores. Do I even need to ban out the Sacred Croxagores? Maybe. They do magic damage, but they have more damage in general. They have more melee attack. So I wouldn't want them to sort of overrun my front line. But that would be the end of all the Lizardmen monstrous infantry. Okay, he bans the cannon. Ban the normal Croxagore. Okay. Seems pretty straightforward. We're going for normal bans right now. I would expect a Trollhammer ban. But if he bans Trollhammers, I don't really need them if I'm banning out all the Croxagores. Enticity, so confident he gives himself an O2 handicap. Yes, yes. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. I'm gonna cut that part out of the VOD. Just for no reason. For no reason. He bans Longbeards. Okay. Ban normal or okay. Ban the Sacred Croxagores. Okay. So there we go. We've successfully banned both Croxagores, which means my dwarf build can more or less let's see here. No problem. Okay, Energize gonna need 5 minutes after this game. Absolutely no issue in the slightest. So, we've banned out the Croxagores. That means that my front line is gonna be a lot stronger. He banned out the shielded Longbeards and cannons, but I can still take, you know, unshielded Longbeards. And something tells me my opponent, he's gonna be going for a little bit of kite action here. Specifically, if you take a look at this unit over here, this bad boy, Salamanders, what's this? Come on, where are they at? Salamanders. Over here. 160 range. He will outrange all of my poor dwarf units, but I have a few options to deal with them. Double Engineer. The bane of Lizardmen ranged kite. Double Engineer is absolutely amazing here. And you know what? I'll take a flash bomb on one and extra ammo on the other. A single gyro bomber in the air should work out quite well for me too. And then the rest is just a chunky front line. My front line will... You know what? Let's go double ammo replenishment for these blasting charges. But yeah, double front line will be able to help me out a ton. Single unit of Giant Slayers just to hold down the back line. And then a couple units of ranged firepower, I think, should be good. In fact, 2 Iron Drakes might really be able to get in a lot of damage. But my lord, oh my lord, yeah, a chonky dwarf frontline indeed. Thorek Ironbrow on his mount, absolutely wonderful option, and the reason I do this is because Longbeards, they trade well into Saurus warriors with melee attack buffs. If you would main anything, it would be lizards. That's definitely a good choice. Definitely indeed. Now, the Longbeards are going to be trading pretty well on the front line. I have a lot of infantry, but I don't have a lot of range units in the back, and that could actually cause me a few issues if we do see a committed kite build. Perhaps I want to go double Quarreler. This is fairly safe. They'll be able to shoot at the chameleon skinks if I see any. Alternatively, I can also go tons of dwarf warriors as my shielded front line, and that actually feels a little bit safer for me. We got the Iron Drakes. I think the Lizardmen Rush is just severely weakened, so I really don't have to worry about that too much. And I can even upgrade these guys to the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. They don't have fire resist. They should be still pretty scary. I need to make 100 gold to take them though, and that's actually going to be a little bit too expensive, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and cut a Longbeard instead to take that guy. And what units can I upgrade? I have 200 gold. I have my 2 engineers. We have some ranged abilities. I could take a Fiery Ring of Thori. That one's pretty nice. I'm pretty bad at using it though. But perhaps today's the day. Yeah, let's go ahead and take that. Why don't we? The Quarrelers are going to be helping me hold against a Pterodon Rider type of rush too. At least that's the hope. So let's go ahead and see if this can win it. Oh boy, so I think Pterodon Riders are probably the scariest threat. Probably the thing that I'll have to worry about the most. I do have 4 units I can shoot up, plus the engineers, so maybe it's not as scary as I think, but if they take out the Gyro Bomber, it's gonna hurt a bit. If we see a lot of skinks, I have a ton of ammunition, so that's definitely not a problem. And if we see some big dinos in the distance, I should be able to close distance, hopefully shut them down. You want to use the counts, but you just suck at them. Vampire counts require so much game knowledge to play right, but there are a ton of builds that you can find from tournaments if you do want to pick them up. The vampire counts, they're absolutely devastating if you can control them right. You hope the Pterodons wreck them. In this case, I have a lot of range units. I feel like Pterodons will lose to my Gyro Bomber. But we'll see, there's only one way to find out. Here we go, I think we are nearly loaded in. This is a very large flat map. We got my front line going on. We got the Longbeards taking up the front. The Dwarf Warriors taking the back. And this is a very high infantry build. I think this may be one of the best way to play dwarves in the current meta, as you don't want to waste too much money on your heroes. I guess I did spend a lot on the double engineer, but in this case it's more of a tech piece for what I expect my opponent to be bringing. The Iron Drakes, I could even put them on the far flanks. That might work out pretty well, but leaving some gaps for them to shoot out feels like a pretty safe bet. I will spaghetti line them just a tiny bit too, so that they are less prone to getting sniped out. And then the explosive charges, you know what, let's just overload on the left flank a bit with them. Engineers will be taken to the center, doing their best to cover for the rest of the army. And I think we have a build. Now, very, very important here. Very important. Blasting charges fire at will off. You want to make sure that they are getting their shots as cleanly as possible. Good luck, have fun to energize. And let's dive on into the match. So, I'm expecting a kite build. And what do we see? We see double salamander. Indeed, he's planning to kite. He has 4 Pterodon riders and only a couple Saurus warriors. The engineers are great because they outrange the salamanders. And this gyro bomber is going to be helping me out a ton too. Let's go ahead and make sure my formation doesn't get botched. And then we can more or less just rotate. The engineers will do great for their positioning. Oxyotl, he reveals himself, but the gyro bomber can actually shoot him down. Engineers are going to be moving on up. And we don't want these guys hitting my infantry, so a little bit of dodging will go a long way. The gyro bomber is a sniping. It is taking some pretty good damage though. It's going to hurt a little bit. Is there healing for the lizardmen? There are revivification crystals, so I will have to be a little bit careful. Oh, that's a big misplay. That's a huge misplay. The gyro bomber getting absolutely annihilated here. Oh my gosh, and it routes off. Now, it's not over yet. You can slow down the pterodons. Let's go ahead and hit them with the flash bomb. Slow them down and hopefully get that gyro bomber back in action. These guys are taking a lot of damage, but it looks like the other pterodon riders are going to be chasing it off. That's going to be a huge loss for me. We still have the engineers, but I have chased off one of the pterodon riders. The gyro bomber looks like it's in fairly good shape to survive too. Oh, but I think these pterodon riders are going to chase it off, unfortunately. Still though, these two engineers are doing pretty good for themselves. These salamanders have limited ammunition, and we have won 600 gold for ourselves. So although that was a pretty bad loss, I think I should still be trading decently. We have the quarrelers here who are doing okay. And man, the gyro bomber is gone. That's so rough. But okay, we got two engineers. They got good ammunition. They're going to be poking away at the ancient salamanders. Oxyotl is going to be a little bit of a pain, but I do have my infantry, and they're going to move up to make sure that he doesn't snipe out my engineers. He does decent damage against them. He's not going to be annihilating them by any means, but he does do pretty good damage. Another shot. You can't see Oxyotl's about here. I'm going to move in my slayers to try and shut him down as well as I can. Some more pterodon riders are coming on in. So I will get my engineers to shoot in at them. And hopefully the slayers can start chasing down Oxyotl. I have a bit of a rune of speed that I'll be using to hopefully catch him out. Looks like a rock drop is going to be coming on in. If I can dodge that, that would be amazing. Spread out these quarrelers as well as I can. And then hope that these longbeards don't take too much damage from those salamanders. I did shut down these pterodon riders, so that makes up for the lost gyro bomber a little bit. And Oxyotl, he does reveal himself. That means the slayers can now move on in. Gonna be getting as good of a engagement as they possibly can. And here we go, the rune of speed. I'm gonna drop that in onto my slayers, but it seems like they're just barely out of range. So that's gonna be pretty rough, but they will be able to push back Oxyotl. Meanwhile, the engineers are going to be pushing forwards. They want to be shutting down those salamanders for sure. And Oxyotl, he won't be getting in too much damage on me. That shot hits my quarrelers, doesn't do too much damage. Another one hits my longbeards, gets a little bit more. In the meantime, the engineers will be poking away, and Oxyotl's already at half ammo, which is a pretty good sign for me. The quarrelers, continuing to fire away, are feeling pretty comfortable. And overall, I think we're still okay. I think the position isn't too bad of one. The engineers constantly shooting at the salamanders. They shouldn't be able to get too much value on my units, but something hit my slayers and actually got a good amount of damage on them. Potentially that was Oxyotl, which is a little bit rough. But hey, one good thing, I will be able to start picking away at the lizardmen front line. My quarrelers are in range of some Saurus warriors, so I'll be able to get a little bit of a punish in over there. Meanwhile, my iron drakes are still feeling quite safe. Revivification crystal, not the scariest threat in the world by any means. I'm not too worried about that. And we'll see how well these engineers continue to do as we head on into the late game. And it looks like a couple shots from Oxyotl have been hitting my iron drakes too. He actually took out a few models there, which definitely not too great. But I can just continue moving forward to get my quarrelers in range. So let's push a little bit. Oxyotl might be somewhere out there. Another shot coming out for those salamanders. Getting decent damage, but nothing too terrifying. And in the meantime, the engineers will continue poking. So, I guess I'll start pushing in towards these salamanders. They will run out of ammunition eventually, so I'm actually not too worried about them, but anything I can find my engineers to shoot is going to be pretty nice for me. It looks like pretty nice poke damage on that far salamander. He shoots another shot, but I can continue to dodge. That one did actually hit my dwarf warriors pretty hard, unfortunately. But overall, they're still okay. Pterodons doing some nice jukes. It looks like they dodged my iron drakes. Pretty nice for them. Oxyotl. I have no idea where he is, but it doesn't look like he's getting in too much damage at the very least. So that's going to be nice. This salamander is lining up for a shot, so a little bit of dodging goes a long way. Dodges that shot really nicely. And the engineers will be able to punish the salamander for getting into position. And it looks like I might actually be able to kill it out here with my quarrelers. It takes another shot at my longbeards, but I do manage to avoid that. And the salamander looks like it might actually go down. That's going to be a gyro bomber's worth of money coming down for me. A shot. I have no idea what that is. Is that a lightning bolt? It is. And it clips my dwarf warriors of Dragonfire Pass, but they do manage to escape. Now, what does sort of suck, that salamander did manage to make it out with its life. It will continue to harass me and cause issues into the late game, but the Revivification Crystal is going to have to use a lot of its charges to actually shut that guy down. So overall, I think it's a decent position for me, and this salamander is going to be getting pretty beat up too. So I think this match is pretty good in my favor. I have a lot of Slayers left too. And if you look at my Longbeards, my front line, we're still pretty chunky. Now, the Lizardman front line does consist mostly of the Saurus Warriors, which is a little bit scary. The Saurus, they're going to be a pretty big threat to my forces if my front line gets a little bit too beat up. So I definitely would not want that to happen. Salamander does get routed off. Will I be able to actually kill it with my engineers though? That's going to be a big question. If I do, that would be absolutely huge for me. But in the meantime, it looks like probably not, unfortunately. Meanwhile, the back, Chameleon Stalkers do reveal themselves. I do have Dwarf Warriors nearby that can punish them though. So I'm not too worried about them. The engineers don't take a ton of damage from them either, so I think I'm okay. My left flank, though, is a little bit scarier, though, and it seems like my quarrelers, they will be taking a pretty nasty beating. Let's go ahead and slow these guys down, actually. Give a fiery ring to the other stalkers. That'll be routing them off quite cleanly. And then the front line is going to be getting engaged. I do have a couple flamethrowers at the ready to hit those guys. And Thorek, he's now going to use his ability to buff up the weapon strength of my forces. This is going to be huge for me, as it means that all of my guys should be winning their frontline engagements, especially once these blasting charges give a little bit of support. But it's looking a little bit scary here, especially the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass getting a bit beat on here. I'm not too happy about that situation. We'll see if we can support them with my actual, with a few of my units. My blasting charges are still doing quite healthy. And overall, Thorek is going to be providing leadership over here to these guys. Blasting charges are continuing to go out. My right flank is a little bit scary. The Saurus are coming out on top, but I do have Iron Drakes at the ready that are picking away. The engineers are doing okay for themselves too. Let's go ahead and continue to boost up the ammunition here, as I do rout off the red-crested skinks, and next up on the line are those dreaded Saurus Warriors. Come on, red-crested skinks. I really need them to rout off. The Revivification Crystal too, getting pretty beat up. Thorek does win that fight on the front. A Thunderbolt hits my blasting charges, but they've already gone a good amount of damage. Definitely very good for them. The engineers are waiting on their cooldowns. Looks like the Pterodon Riders actually moved on in to engage them. And the Slayers, they're going to be holding like absolute heroes here on the right flank. I nearly have another Fiery Ring. That's going to be huge here for the balance of power. If I can line it up, I should be able to hit all of those red-crested skinks. And there we go. Oh my gosh, that's a pretty good burn. It didn't win the game by any means, but it definitely gotten an insane amount of damage. The revivification crystal is still alive, and meanwhile the two engineers, they're actually pretty good fighters. So these pterodon riders will eventually go down to them, I think. Looks like Oxyotl having to commit into melee too is not the best situation for him. He doesn't want to be fighting in melee, but he's nearly out of ammunition, so it looks like that's what my opponent is opting for. Some more blasting charges landing onto the Saurus warriors, getting in some really nice damage. And the two engineers, they continue to hold. I will throw in another ammunition on those blasting charges and try my best to get those volleys off, as that is my main source of extra value that I can pull in here. I get a pretty nice volley. Pretty good. Slams into the Saurus warriors. They're rampaging. Thorek still at extremely high HP, but my blasting charges are about to rout off. I really want them to take out the red-crested skinks though, before they leave the battlefield, but it looks like they aren't able to, and that makes things a little bit scary. It's just Thorek and my two engineers left, essentially. The Lizardmen have done a good job beating down my front line, and honestly, this could go in the favor of my opponent. The kite build actually coming out on top at the end of the battle. We'll see how the rest of it plays out, but Thorek is going to have his work cut out for him, for sure. Let's go ahead and throw down another buff. It lands. But will I be able to win it? I think the Lizardmen frontal rush might have actually done it here. Another engineer is now out of the battle, and man, I can only think of that gyro bomber that I lost so early on. Thorek, he's going to be fighting, but Oxyotl does have a few shots left that will be pretty punishing. I don't have any AoE runes, so I think the Lizardmen win it. But we'll have to see. Thorek is a pretty beastly character. These are all skinks. There's not a lot of armor piercing for the Lizardmen, so there definitely is a bit of potential for Thorek to do okay. All my forces have, they cause fear, which is pretty good too, and the Iron Drakes getting in a final parting volley on these Lizardmen forces before they do actually break off. And now it is Thorek. There's nothing left to micro. I'll put it on the ×4 speed, but I think my opponent might have been able to win it. Let's see, I got a couple dwarf warriors here. Thorek at about half HP now. He has red crested skinks to beat down, 30 units of Saurus warriors. And that's about it. That is about it. My dwarf warriors will be coming in to support too. I will be able to rout off the red-crested skinks. So honestly, I'm not sure. Thorek has a lot of armor, coming all the way up to 120. Definitely going to be pretty great for him. A missed thunderbolt going to be helping me out a little bit. And Thorek, he's going to be pushing forwards actually to combine with my dwarf warriors. Hopefully a nice charge in the back onto these Saurus will be able to help him. And I also have a rune of slowness, which I might want to use to catch out this revivification crystal. But the dwarf warriors, it looks like they will be routing off, unfortunately. So Thorek, he's alone. He's alone in the world. We'll try and win it. 40 dwarf warriors would be good here to have. Yeah, it'd be good, but they did get caught out in the end. So the ×4 continues. Thorek is going to be beating down. These guys are going to be doing the most damage. The Chameleon Stalkers don't do that much in melee. Take a look, it's only 5 armor piercing damage. But I feel like I might be pushed into army losses here. There we go, my opponent seeing the ×4 speed. Thorek focusing down the Saurus warriors. They do get healed by the revivification crystal. I can throw down a big ol' attack boost onto Thorek. That'll last for 40 seconds. Should be able to help him out, but I think that's gonna be army losses. So GG, well played to my opponent. Gonna be the loss. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, brutal. Absolutely brutal. Getting kited out when I expected the kite from the Lizardmen. But my Longbeard's just not holding out against the Saurus warriors in the late game. Really causing me the issues for sure. And although I shut down these guys, the gyro bomber, I really messed this up. Had it stayed alive in the late game, it definitely would have been able to just destroy the Lizardmen forces, but unfortunately, I think that misplay ended me there. The two engineers did good though. The Quarrelers did okay. And I think just that tiny bit of an edge would have done it. The Iron Drakes too, I actually would probably cut these guys. I wasn't a huge fan of them. But there we go, Oxyotl winning the game. GG. Alright, okay, so my opponent is coming back in 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and select our faction. Feeling like the Bretonia pick is really nice. I could go Vampire Coast, but there's not a lot I can do without a zombie frontline. I guess I can take the pistol frontline, but I don't think they're gonna be winning any games here. Alternatively, you know, Bretonia is like my bread and butter, right? Iron Drakes are kind of wonky, yeah. But Oxyotl did a good job shutting them down, I think. Really nice use of ammunition, for sure. But what faction? I think Bretonia is probably still the safest pick. Let's go ahead and go Bretonia. The Lizardmen are already gone, which is a really nice pick for myself. And I can go ahead and ban the... There's a couple good bans here. Greenskins, like maybe? The Dwarves is a for sure ban. Always ban the Dwarves as Bretonia, but the second ban is sort of up to me. I could ban out the... Oof. I could ban the Bretonians and lose the mirror match. What else? I guess I could also ban the Greenskins, which probably feels like the most sensible pick here. The Warriors of Chaos, potentially, but I think if I just annihilate their halberds, they actually get put into a pretty rough position. But Chaos is the next runner-up, I think. So let's go ahead and try that. Dwarves and Chaos. Energized is gonna be back in 5 minutes. Ooh, so I guess I'll do some stretches. Oh my gosh. I know Dwarves not fighting to the death. Absolute cowards. Absolute cowards. Honestly though, it all came down to that gyro bomber. By all means, it definitely should have lived. But that pick. That glorious pick on the gyro bomber. Absolutely devastating. Oof. You know, if I went for brimstone guns, that might have been good too, as they are a lot more mobile. That could have helped me out, but what can you do? How's the beta feeling? Beta's feeling great. It feels exactly the same as live, except you got some beta stuff. It's real fun. Some people telling you cavalry feels tankier but does less damage. That feels about right. The important thing though is that over the long game, with cycle charging, they trade about evenly with infantry in the open field. So it's a really nice place for them to be in. Yeah, the cavalry beta feels fine. Like, there's no downsides to it, really, unless you really just hate cavalry. So, overall, I think it's pretty good. There's no reason not to switch to it, aside from the fact that it's a little bit annoying for people who enjoy quick battle. Legion saying, there is a big problem with cavalry now. Oh man, Legion with the hot takes coming in chat. You cannot, if you mention cavalry, you will summon Legion. But yeah, overall though, they're definitely stronger than on live, so that's definitely a plus. And it does mean I can take Bretonia, which is always great. Energized, by the way, will be back in 5 minutes, so feel free to go out and take a quick break while we wait. Overall, it's been a pretty fun tournament day today. We've been streaming for about 2 hours. It looks like the stream will end at the 3rd hour. Not bad at all. At Enticity, what do you think about a mod that would bring a checkbox-like button in the lobby that will toggle on and off the player rules, like banner and fruit rules? I feel like it'd be hard to get mass adoption on that. The mod, it'd be cool though, but you know, we also need to find someone that's willing to make it. And then And then, yeah, overall, like, you'd have to convince Turin and my son HW to use that mod for it to actually see mass use. Otherwise, it becomes too niche. What's your favorite faction to play at the moment? Asks Human Boy to me. I am enjoying the Vampire Coast. They're still my favorite faction. Despite everything that we've gone through, the Vampire Coast, the mighty Vampire Coast, they're still very fun to play. Shock and melee cavalry does the same impact damage. That is true. Shock cavalry, they have to stay in combat for a few seconds to get their value. It means they act a little bit differently now. Yeah. The 1 second cycle charge is not really a thing at the moment. The beta's improvement from the live patch, yep. But you think there's room for more refinement. Me too. Me too, and I hope once they push it onto live, we see a few more changes. This is a really surprisingly competitive tournament. It is. It feels like, because you still use a lot of your knowledge from the matchups. So a lot of the skill transfers from normal tournaments to this one. Which is something, it's a rarity. A lot of like the meme tournaments that you see, your overall meta know-how does not transfer over. So, I quite like it. You ran tests yesterday. Even graft stuff, that's nice. And it turns out cavalry trades as badly as on live patch into great weapon infantry. I would say my testing and graphs are they speak differently, unless you're not cycle charging efficiently or something. The question is, what type of cycle charge are you using? Did you test out each variant, staying in combat for different amounts of time and so on? Because that's pretty important. Oh, I should check what map we're on. Oh, never mind. My opponent is the one checking. See. But yeah, I think it will be pretty cool though if Energized manages to take out the final prize here. Because this prize has been hanging for a while since I won the last tournament. Oh, nice. Legion showing off some graphs. Alright. Oh, it's on your Discord. Okay. It says no text channels. Alright, well, you know, I'll check through it later. Right now it seems like it's a bit bugged on my Discord, but I will check it out later. But yeah, overall though, cavalry does feel a little bit more effective. Okay, and it looks like Energize is back. No problem. So here we go. It's on Lotus Moon server. Nice, nice. Is this the finals? It is the finals. Energize is up 1 game. He's played the Lizardmen, and he successfully kited out my dwarves, even though I was expecting it, which is a really, really solid play, I would say. There was a little bit of a misplay on my part. I did pull back a little bit going into the mid game, but he, man, brutal kite. The Salamander kite plus Oxyotl sniping out my Iron Drakes meant that I lost the front line in the end there. Still definitely very fun. So we have our pick, Bretonia, Band, Dwarves, and Chaos. What will Energize go for? And we'll have to win 2 games to get the reverse sweep here. So we'll see. Thank you for the good luck, Chris. I will do my best. And it looks like he goes for the Tomb Kings pick. All right. Now, the Tomb Kings here. Interesting pick against the Bretonians. You know, Necropolis Knights, banning these guys out is pretty good. Banning the Ushopti, possibly even better. If he doesn't have Ushopti, what? He's gonna Bone Giant me? You know what? I'll ban Ushopti. Ban Ushopti. There we go. Did I spell that right? Ushopti. Nice, I did. So Ushopti are out of the battle. That's gonna be a really nice cavalry advantage for me. Let's see. Bows. There we go. I forgot. There is a melee variant that almost no one runs. Yes. these good guys. And then, so that's his ranged gone. And then what? Do I ban Necropolis Knights? That feels pretty good. Necropolis Knights are amazing anti-cavalry tools, but without them, I feel like Energized is going to have a little bit more of a rough time here. Let's see. Yeah, and then I can more or less just do a huge cavalry rush. Okay, ban Necro Knights. Now this does leave the normal variant up, but they're not nearly as strong against cavalry. Alternatively, I could ban out some of the monsters, but that doesn't feel too great. Or I ban the Bone Giant, which could do well. You know what? I'll ban the Bone Giant. Bone Giant. There we go. Bone Giant is gone, which means that he's limited on his ranged for sure. My cavalry should have free range over everything. Casket? I'm not too worried about Casket. I feel like I can dodge that. But we'll see if I get punished for it. Okay. Okay, alright. So, he's banned out my my mid-tier cavalry. And then I'll have to decide on if I want to take Grail Knights or Grail Guardians here. Could be a potential. He doesn't have any of his usual range tools, so he might go for a bit of a rush, or possibly the Casket style of play. Both not too scary. Could go for Knights Errant too if I want to just shut down chariots and such. But one interesting tech piece I can do. The Damsel, with the magic resist, it keeps your cavalry alive if they get spirit leeched, which is extremely important here. And I think I might be using that so that I can heal them up from Arc in the Black. So just a basic Damsel on a Unicorn so that she doesn't take so much damage. And then I can choose between one of my Knights to hopefully help me out. I'm thinking, let's see, Grail Guardians are pretty sick. The Tomb Kings can be pretty grindy. I think I'll just take 2 Grail Guardians. And then the rest is going to be a heavy Archer front line. Let's see, I can even take the Grail Relique. Lewin, amazing guy in the air, should do quite well. I will take the Lion Shield in case he does go for some supportful Stalkers, which is a bit of a possibility. But the rest of it is more or less just heavy infantry force. Let's go ahead and take a few Knights Errant too. They will be able to do quite well against cheap Tomb King's cavalry. And then it's just my Archer spam. Let's see, but how likely is he to rush? In fact, do I even want to take Mounted Yeomen? Probably not. Probably not. I could go for a pretty chunky front line too, to counter the Tomb King's front line. Tomb Guards specifically are going to be a little bit scary, but possibly Battle Pilgrim spam could help me out. Just like something like this, take a bunch of peasant mobs, and now I'm only down on the Archer front. Now, normal Archer and some Pox arrows feels like a pretty safe bet. They'll be able to just constantly pepper down any Tomb King's monsters. I'm seeing one person, Bubba, calling for Mounted Yeomen. I feel like maybe, and then that way I don't need to worry about... Like, he doesn't have that much range, right? So, Mounted Yeomen can actually perform rather well. I don't need as much of a front line to actually defend them. This feels okay. Nothing more useful than a bad unit. Honestly, Mounted Yeomen are pretty good. You know what? I'm gonna try it out, just to see. He doesn't have that much range. They'll be able to pepper down his monsters. Hopefully that works out okay. If he does go for a hard box, things get a little bit scary. You know, we might see some Screaming Skull Catapult play, or alternatively it could be a big old rush. There's only one way to find out. But I do want to be prepared for all those various conditions I might see. Let's see, I can't take the Knights of the Lion-Hearted. I can't upgrade these guys at all, so I am stuck fairly cheap on cavalry. Can take out a peasant mob though and go a little bit more elite, but I don't have that much anti-infantry. You know what? My infantry could just be 2 battle pilgrims, But we are a bit vulnerable to the box, aren't we? I'm tempted to take a single field trebuchet to deal with his artillery, but I don't think it trades very well. Oh man, if he does rush me, how bad would that be? I feel like a little bit scary. You know, maybe I'll do a hybrid style. Yes, the ultimate cop-out. I'll take 2 archers and 2 mounted yeomen. The perfect mix of units. There we go. And we'll see if he's able to win it here. Energized. Looking pretty strong in the tournament today with some expert bands, I would say. We'll see if they're able to win it. If they do lose this match, we will be going to the ace match. So they will have a pretty nice advantage here. This matchup, a little bit scary for the Bretonians. We'll see how well they do. Overall, though, I think my cavalry is still fairly strong, especially if I'm getting rushed. The map, we forgot to change the map, but that's fine. We should be okay. And then we can dive on in. All right, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so the idea, I need to keep my damsel close to my knights. She has to stop them from getting spirit leeched to death, because if they do, it's just a terrible time for me. Yeah, and then if I can keep them alive, then I'm in a much better position, since they'll be able to help against the large single entities in the late game. Lewin should be really good at killing single entities, and if it is a box, I do have a couple archers that should do okay. If you ban peasant archers as a ban all variant, it does not. So that's a very nice advantage to Bretonia, where their range units can't all get banned. In this rule set, I made it where variants are safe. Oh, looks like map is the same. We can switch or stay. Your choice. Well, alright. Pretty easily resolved there. Both players are happy with the map being the same. So, yeah, we'll just go ahead and play on it. Let's go ahead and spread out my lines. I have pretty nice advantage here on that front. The damsel gonna be protecting my ever so expensive knights from getting spirit leech death. And we have the mounted yeomen taking up the front to hopefully pressure some Tomb King's forces here, why don't we? Now, the knights are going to stay pretty far back. They don't actually need to move into support very quickly. These guys will be a little bit further forwards. Lewin up front and center, and I think we're more or less fine. Good luck, have fun. To my opponent, the map is, his army size that is going to be rather large. So it seems like possibly not a box. That's going to be pretty nice. You like the Fey Enchantress Paladin Go-Trek combo. They're pretty good. It's quite expensive and it does have its counters. And I wouldn't want to run into a hard counter in that situation. So I decided to opt out of it. This is a pretty standard-ish Bretonian build. I'm a little bit worried for how quickly it can clear infantry. I don't have that much of an elite front line. So if we see like just a bunch of infantry spam, it could actually go pretty south for me. He's missing a lot of his anti-cavalry though, so I'm hoping that cycle charging is gonna be my saving grace. If not though, Energized will be taking the 2-0 victory for today with that sweet $25 prize. Which would be pretty nice, finally getting that out to the community. We'll have to see, he's still setting up. Potentially a bit of a formation going on here. Potentially. But maybe not. You know what I should have done? I should have banned Arkan the Black. That would have been hilarious. Arkan the Black is an absolute beast in this matchup. A bit of a missed opportunity there, I would say. I've been too used to banning units this entire thing. Whew, all right. Let's see if we can win it. This is a matchup that I haven't played a whole ton. I could be a little bit more practiced in it, but We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping... I think this magic resist got nerfed recently too. But I think Grail Knights still survive if they get Spirit Leeched. I might be wrong. And if I am, that would be terrible. But let's see, what do we got for our opponent? Double Screaming Skull Catapult. Okay. We got Ark in the Black on foot. Tons of guys here, and probably some Sepulchral Stalkers in the back. A Tomb Prince. Alright. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and move my archers up. They're gonna move into a bit of a pressuring position here. They want to stay away from these Stalkers for sure, though. And let's see how these Screaming Skull Catapults do. They're going to be firing in on my guys at the start. I have no idea where these Stalkers are either. So things get a little bit dicey for sure. My front line, going to be doing a few jukes here. That should dodge the initial volleys. At further ranges, it's generally a little bit easier to juke the shots. So I feel pretty good about this. Another volley comes on in, misses my Battle Pilgrims, thankfully. My archers are firing away. Now, I want my archers to shut down the Screaming Skull Catapults. If I can do that, that's the main strength of the Tomb Kings here. It's going to be negated, as I will more or less be able to really, yeah, I'll be able to just cycle charge to my heart's content with my cavalry. It's just going to be a few Sepulchral Stalkers, really. So, not too threatening. Let's go ahead and do a little bit more dodging here. Mounted Yeomen are firing on in. Lewin has exposed these Sepulchral Stalkers. It's pretty good for me. Then let's continue diving forwards. There we go. There's the other one. Let's see if I can dodge the shots. Looks like they don't actually manage to get it off. And Lewin is going to be continuing to pressure onwards. Now, the archers are going to be targeting those guys. Put them on a different hotkey, moving up with my infantry as fast as I can. And continuing to kill off that artillery. That's so annoying here. They are focusing my archers, so they actually might go down. Let's go ahead and get a little bit more of a dodge in there, and then pull back forwards. And then bring in the Lewin to get a little bit of a sniping attempt here on Ark in the Black. Spirit Leech screwed up, actually. It looks like, indeed, my cavalry, they're still actually pretty safe here from Spirit Leeches due to that magic resist. So lo and behold, it does actually work. And that's going to be absolutely great for me. Lewin going to be proccing all of his buffs to shut down those guys, as he's more or less indestructible at the moment, since he is all buffed up. All those Stalkers and such won't be able to get too much value in. And in the meantime, my Knights, they're going to start pressuring the Tomb King's lines. My Battle Pilgrims will be sneaking in too. And Lewin, as his damage resist wears off, you will want to disengage here. But as long as these catapults are down, I'm feeling pretty comfortable about my situation, as they won't be able to hit up my Grail Knights, and then I can just cycle charge to my heart's content. These Knights are going to be slipping through to give a bit of support to Lewin. That should work out quite well. The Stalkers have turned to shoot at my Knights, so Lewin can continue pressuring on forwards, and now I am diving in on top of these Sepulchral Stalkers. Lewin has done pretty good against the hero squad here for the Tomb Kings. Nothing too amazing, though, unfortunately. And as for my front line, we still have a lot of skeletons to push through with these Grail Knights. My archers are coming back, though, and Lewin, he's going to be coming in for the loop around. Now going to be sniping out the Necrotech. I don't want to kill off the Tomb Prince just yet, or he is going to rampage Lewin. That would be very unfortunate. Instead, opting for the safer play, just getting that Necrotech down. And my Euromen, they're just going to be poking away at as many units as they can. These Stalkers in the distance, they are still holding pretty well. And overall, I think, you know what? Killing off this hero squad is overrated. Lewin is going to pull back to a bit of a safer position, and instead, I'm going to kill off some Sepulchral Stalkers. Things aren't going too well for me along this flank, and I would much rather shut these guys down instead. Let's go ahead and collapse in on top of them. I do have a heal at the ready, but I don't need to use it just yet. And I can pull away from the Sepulchral Stalkers here. Same with Lewin before he takes too much damage. Let's go ahead and see if I can get him out of there. Spirit Leech does drop. It hits the Grail Knights. I want to get them to the magic resist of my caster so that they will stay safe. I still have my archers too, and they might be my saving grace here actually. So I'll sort of be playing around that. The caster can now heal up my knights and Lewin. And he's going to continue pressuring in onto that necrotect where he can. My knights are going to be cycle charging a ton. And actually, you know what? Potentially a bit of a dive-in attempt here. Actually, I don't really need to go in just yet. We'll pull back since it's still a little bit dangerous to dive on in. My archers, okay, looking pretty good. Lewin, it looks like he got focused down by those stalkers a tiny bit. A little bit scary as, wow, he takes a lot of damage there. And I'm probably just going to throw a regrowth on him to give him that tiny pick-me-up that he needs. And then he's going to dive in on Arkin the Black while I distract the stalkers here. He has his buffs ready to go. My peasants are going to be moving on in. A nice Spirit Leech hits my knights. But Lewin, he's going to be a pretty big pain to Arkin the Black as he does land on in. Is this Arkin the Black? It is. It's going to be landing in a few hits. Arkin the Black doesn't have any healing, so it's not going to be too happy about this situation. As if I can take him down, that may actually just be the end of him. It will be a huge punish for the Tomb King's leadership, but man, there's just so much infantry here that I have to deal with. Lewin's gonna pull out and disengage again. Summon on the far side is gonna be putting the Tomb Kings back up, and man, I wish I had more archers. Unfortunately, we do not though. My knights slowly getting worn down. And will Lewin be able to kill off Arkin the Black? He's done a good amount of cycle charges here, but overall, Arkin the Black being on foot, making him rather tanky here. A summon too of Ushapti in the center is going to be actually killing quite a few of my knights. We'll see if I can pull it out. Lewin's he's done decent damage to Arkin the Black. He's getting pretty low now. Let's see here. He's right up in the midst of all of his support though. And my archers, although they are continuing to fire in, I don't know if they'll be able to clear things out. I'm just sort of lacking the AoE here. Let's go ahead and pick up with Lewin though. Get in another charge on Arkin the Black. I'm sort of I'm really hoping that I'm able to kill him off here, because if not, that's going to be really bad for sure. He gets the nice charge. He misses though. And Lewin, he's caught up in a lot of infantry. Now it is mostly infantry. The stalkers are on the sidelines, but oh my gosh, look at that. Brutal volley comes down on Lewin. And I think the Tomb Kings might be able to win it. Lewin breaks off, and that's gonna be it. GG, well played to Energized. Gonna be winning the tournament today as he votes off Lewin. Let's go ahead and, whoopsie daisies, tap on out. I don't think there's a way to come back from there. And nice. The thing I feared, the defensive formation. I did kill off the Screaming Skull catapults, but unfortunately, Lewin getting absolutely demolished there. I definitely wanted the Fey Enchantress. They would have been a lot better versus a box like this. I did gamble a little bit to go for the much wider line. Honestly, if I went for the Archer spam, that would have helped me out quite a bit. But this was much more tuned towards a box for sure. The Grill Guardians, I'm actually not too sure about. Maybe I just didn't want to take them at all. And I could have gone a lot more heavy on the cavalry. But Energized, really nice prediction on the build there too. I think you might have seen it coming based on my bans. But nice play also. Well played, Energized. If you are watching the stream, I will send you your prize momentarily. Congratulations. And for everyone that is watching, thank you very much for coming on in today. It was an extremely fun tournament. And special thanks in particular, to the patrons, Red Wedding Planner, who actually gave the idea for this tournament, Romacarol and Biblington for supporting all of these events. I would not be able to fund all these tournaments without you guys. So there we go. I think we're more or less ready. And I hope to see you next time.